Flash is coming up at the top of the staircase. There's an easy kill for Hyper in a second and a third. Dark Zero in full control. A triple for Grixer, and there's the quad. United.
Great teamwork. Sonics take the lead again.
Disrupt the best of the best.
His teammate's gone, and what's this? He's got a Nitro Cell as well.
DSM! Tempo Storm absolutely storms through this matchup. Oxygen takes the series. Space Station Gaming are your world champions!
Welcome to Phase 2, Playday 4, the Rainbow Six Siege US Division. Today, SSG versus OXG, then Disrupt versus the Sonics. For this first matchup, this will determine our Stage 1 champs. For the second match, that winner clinches an NA major qualifier spot. So gentlemen, today, so much on the line. I'm Jackie Jing. I am with our analysts, Veli and Jesse. I am really hyped this Monday. How are y'all feeling?
Jesse, always answer first. I'm gonna give you the go ahead.
Okay, Jesse.
All right, I'm feeling good. I mean, we're getting to the end of our stage 1, right? So it's getting exciting. We're figuring out where teams are going to end up in the next, couple of months and where teams are going to end up. And yeah, it's really fun.
Yo, I'm hyped, Jackie. Jesse, I don't know about you. Today we got the best possible set of games yet in the NA League. We're going to have Space Station against the most beautiful team in Rainbow Six. And then we all finally get to see NGR versus Iconic. Let's get into the games.
Ooh, oh my gosh. I'm so excited for the SSG OXG rematch, and I love Disrupt. Veli loves the potential of the Sonic, so really excited. But really quickly, we have a quick word from our sponsors. Take a listen. And now to today's schedule. Today, SSG versus OXG, then Disrupt versus the Sonics. Jesse, break down last week and explain to us why we are here.
Yeah, so previously in Phase 2, we had our opening games, and that's where these teams came from. All of these teams are the teams that won their opening matchup. So they won their first game, and now they're here playing for first in their groups. So obviously these teams, they've looked good in recent times, but that doesn't tell the whole story, obviously. So we should have some really fun matches.
Yes, definitely looking forward to it. And very quickly, we want to check in with our casters, Kixon and Taro. I'm sure that y'all are amped for this rematch. OXG versus SSG. How are you feeling? I want to see the hype.
I feel really good.
Hype train.
I
Here we
feel
go.
really good. How much hype do you want out of me? Like, it is very hot right now. There is a heat wave, and hype creates energy, and energy creates heat. So, I am very excited for this match, though, even though I might be in subdued tones. I expect that, given that we've seen a couple rematches now, this might go the other way. OXG needs to flip the script and make sure that they win the rubber match or the second matchup, because a lot of times teams lose it the second time, but there's gonna be fireworks between these two squads, no doubt.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited as well. I will remind everybody that while Oxygen did manage to 2-0 SSG in the previous match, it was very close. Oregon was 8-7, Consulate was 7-5. Could have gone either way, really. And I expect this one to be definitely a banger.
Ooh, a banger. It's definitely going to be a close one. Really excited about it, gentlemen. We're going to let you prep, bring it back to the analysts. Okay. So let's chat about the bracket, Veli and Jesse, and talk about today's matches, get everyone at home caught up with where we're at right now. Veli, can you start with Group A for us?
So Group A, in case you've been living under a rock lately, every team in the top 4, they were the top 2 teams in their respective groups from Phase 1. Now, the reason why Group A is so important to win out and not be last place is because the 4th place team, which is currently Dark Zero, they're going to be the only team in all of Group A that has to play through a qualifier for the NA mini major, as Milo just called it, next month. Everyone else, they got an automatic invite, so now we're playing for points, we're playing for bragging rights, we're just playing to be on top of NA.
Okay, Jesse, let's talk about Group B.
So Group B are obviously the bottom 2 teams from each opening group in Phase 1. That means Disrupt, United, Sonics, and Tempo Storm have found themselves here. United have already locked in dead last of this group. That means they get 8th overall. The best you can do in this group is 5th overall, but that still gets you into the regional qualifier, as does 6th overall. So still a lot to fight for in Group B. Disrupts and Sonics, they'll be playing today, and one of those 2 teams will end up in the North American qualifier.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for that breakdown. But let's start chatting about this first matchup. So excited about this. Okay, a lot of pressure for SSG today. I believe that all eyes are on them. They are coming off a win against DZ, but they do not want to lose to OXG again. Veli, talk to me about how critical this win is to them. I mean, winning this matchup would put them back on top of the U.S. division.
Okay, Jackie, first of all, victory is always critical. Second of all,
true.
Listen, of course, Space Station Gaming, the world champs, they want to be on top again. But you know what, Jackie? I don't know what will happen considering the last time they played, and like Kick said, it was a very close game. We can use all the excuses that Fultz had an off day, but so did Foxay. Yes, Fultz went about, negative 100, but we know that's just a one-off thing. That's never going to happen again. Fultz is back, and quite arguably, he's the best player on the team. So now that everybody is shooting straight in this matchup, Space Station Gaming, along with Canadian, they want those bragging rights, and they want to be up top.
Jesse, these are 2 very, very strong teams overall. They're coordinated, they're smart, they have the mechanical skill. What do you think that SSG needs to do today to defeat OXG?
I think there's a couple of things Space Station does better than Oxygen typically. I think playing with time is one of their largest strengths. You know, it's very common to see a defense where nobody on Space Station dies for like 2 minutes. They're very good at keeping their roamers alive, falling back when necessary, and really just playing to the strengths of the defensive setup. They're also really good at adaptations, right? We've seen a couple of times now where they go back to the same bomb site over and over again with different tweaks, and even if they lose it once or twice in a row, they'll end up coming back the 3rd time at the very least and taking that W. That's what happened against Dark Zero when they played on that kitchen bomb site on Cafe. They failed it once, they failed it twice, but the adaptations came through and they won it the 3rd time. I made a little video to showcase exactly how that hold went for them.
Roll the tape. Maybe.
If we've got it.
It's coming.
Do we got...
Good evening, my name is Jesse J. Chick, and today we're going to be talking about how Space Station Gaming clinched their major spot. This is the final round between Dark Zero and Space Station. Space Station are up 1-0 in the best of 3 series, and of course, if they win this, they will head to the major. This has been a really attacker-sided Cafe so far, and this is the 3rd time Space Station have tried to defend this bottom bomb site inside the kitchen. They failed it every time up until now, so we're going to talk about the adaptations they've utilized to try to make it a success for the 3rd time around. The big thing is Fultz is no longer playing on Maestro and he's playing on this Valkyrie. This has been a very anti-utility hold from Space Station. They put a lot of resources inside a bakery, however, every single time Dark Zero have pushed from the freezer rather than paying any attention at all to the bakery. And every single time, Space Station have had 1 Evil Eye, maybe 2 Evil Eyes, plus a couple of magnets over by the freezer area, but not a whole lot else. So, ditching the Evil Eyes, they're going to focus more so on getting that intel and then using their gun skill to deny the plant from Dark Zero, which has successfully gone down both times they've attacked this bomb site. As we go 2 minutes into the round, you'll see so far things have gone pretty well for Dark Zero. One of their biggest concerns was the magnets, but really that's not going to be too big of a problem for them because, again, there's no Evil Eyes up, so they don't have to worry too much about that. 1 flashbang was used, but it wasn't really too important. Otherwise, the positioning of Space Station Gaming is they've got Rampy on low health in VIP, they've got Bosco running around the bottom of Red Stairs and Coat Check, and then they got 3 players inside of Bakery. One is the Echo, who's probably not going to leave Bakery anytime soon. There's Thinkinade playing towards the south, who can rotate into Kitchen Cooking, and there's Fultz as well playing in the north, who has a rotate hole in from Bakery into Kitchen Cooking. And these are the angles that are going to be utilized to try to stop this plant. As we go closer to the end of the round, again just a few more seconds in, we can see how this all falls apart. The intel is here, both from the Black Eyes of Fultz and also the Echoes drones from Canadian. And he's not going to stop this plant, but he is going to watch it, and he'll be able to stop hot and cold from who? It's Fultz, who is pushed in deep into kitchen cooking through that rotate hole that I mentioned earlier. Now from Freezer, Dark Zero can get an angle on that rotate hole, but they can't actually get Fultz after he's gone through the hole. And Fultz went through that rotate really early, so he's pretty safe playing back here. The biggest issue for Fultz that he has to worry about is someone playing up above, and in previous rounds, this top floor control has been really detrimental to Fultz, and he's died to it quite a few times. So why is this going to be a problem now? Why isn't he dying? Where is Skies, who's usually playing in that position? Well, Skies is killing Rampy. I mean, Skies is pushing down, but it isn't even that helpful to the squad. Skies will push through here late into the round. Eclipse is just going to die to Bosco playing inside of Coat Check, as we see there. The Yokai drone will continue to stall out Hyper, who's now going to try to take the spot of his planter and get this diffuser down. The Yokai drone won't stall him for long, but it'll be enough time for Fultz to get this second pick onto the planting player. Hyper stands up, and there goes his head. Mint can't again get an angle onto Fultz. He needs to vault through this window, which he finally realizes, and he will do. He manages to get the frag, and it's probably a nice one because it's not an easy angle for him to challenge, but he does do so. And with Skies pushing in through that north doorway, he's going to be in a good position to get another frag as well. Thinking nade, pushing through this bottom part of the map, he also goes down. So now it's only a 2v2. Skies is in a good position to cover Mint going for the plants, but as we go forward, things fall apart because Bosco had gone upstairs and denies the plant coming in from Mint. That is a huge blunder from Dark Zero to have given up that top floor control, allowed the rotate from Bosco, and now they pay for it. With 4 seconds left and Skies in a 1-on-2, top floor control not his, diffuser no place to plant it that's safe. He's just got to sit and wait for this round to be lost. Space Station secure their spot at the major by winning this map 7-5 and the series 2-0, and you can tell that they're obviously quite happy about that one. And that's how they did it. Space Station Gaming adapting really well in their matchup against Dark Zero to win it 7-5 and head to that grand major spot.
Oh my gosh, that was so fun to watch. I absolutely loved that breakdown and just getting that insight. Yeah, seriously. Big Brain doing a little homework for us, and I absolutely love it. But this is a different matchup, so let's talk about OXG now. OXG, they're on top right now, undefeated in the US division. They're looking strong, but there is a lot of pressure when you're on the top. This is a rematch, Jesse, and many say you learn more from a loss. So how much harder do you think it will be for OXG to beat SSG again?
I think it'll be pretty difficult. I did talk to Luke a couple of days ago, and he talked about how Space Station Gaming were working on a couple of things. He called it small talk, where they had some issues in like the mid-round adaptations, making those calls, and there were some issues with the communication there. So clearly Space Station have improved some of those things now, and they will be looking to be a stronger team coming to this matchup against Oxygen. But I think Oxygen has also grown quite a bit as a roster. We saw last playday a little bit of a role swap coming in between Slash and Bio. I thought Bio was playing more of that hard breach, whereas Slash was doing more of that Collie, that Thatcher, so the support role of the hard breach. So that's a little bit of a difference, and that just speaks to me that, they're still trying new things, they're still trying to adapt, they're still pushing themselves over on Oxygen Esports. So they're clearly not content to just sit back with their, with their victory over SSG once. They're still working for it. So I think both teams are going to come out stronger in this matchup, and we should hopefully get an even better game than the first time.
Oh, I'm so excited for it. We are here for it. Veli, we said this before. I mean, these are scary good teams, extremely talented. What are OXG's strengths, though, that you think could lead them to victory today?
At the end of the day, you have to lack total comprehension at the fact that Laxing is the best flank watch in the game currently. And speaking about Laxing, who has the top cost, he's top 3 in kill death ratio. Compared to entry fraggers, they have so many dangerous people, and it's not just Laxing. You take a look at the resurgence of Bio. You take a look at Foxay. Everyone on this team, including Vertical, who just woke up, shout out to Sleeping Beauty. He's been slacking for so long. This team is going to come out gunning. And the scariest part about this, I think their best matchup was against Space Station Gaming, and we still haven't seen the best Oxygen yet. They haven't lost, and the record shows it.
I think their coordination has been really good as well. I mean, we've seen it a couple different holds. Any two players you put on this team together in a room, and they act like one unit. That's been really impressive to me. So I think Oxygen have a lot of positives coming into this game.
Not to say Oxygen was never coordinated in the past. They've never been this coordinated in the past. It's honestly like we're looking at a brand new team, and I love it.
All right, gentlemen. So now let's talk about predictions. Who's going to win? Big Brain, I'll start with you.
Sure. I think that while Space Station, they have the history, and I've heard that they've been improving on things, I've got more recent results and more recent success from Oxygen Esports. There is something to be said about that rematch curse, where the team that loses the first time comes back to win it the second time, but I think I'll take data over hunches and curses. I'm going to go with Oxygen Esports to win this game.
Okay.
Veli?
Two times the charm, right, Jesse? I'm going to go with the world champs. I feel like, yes, last time they played, they lost by 3 total rounds, right? Fultz is way more significant when it comes to their success than anything else, and I feel like him not being in that game really held him back. Space Station Gaming 2-1. I'm holding on to it.
Oh, this is tough. I feel like OXG, they have that thing, that it factor, you know, that X factor, but SSG has a fire and determination that I have not seen in many teams, and I feel like they are going to want this so badly today. So we're split on this one, gentlemen. Let's get this started, right? I'm tired of talking. Chat's like, stop talking. Let's get right to it, right? Coming up next, we have our lovely casters, Kixon and Taro, and also don't forget to follow us on social. We got an Instagram and a Twitter account, but here we go, y'all. SSG versus OXG coming up next. We'll be right back.
The toughest team I'd say we faced in Phase 1 is probably Disrupt. Gaming, just because they're new, unpredictable. They actually kind of like really surprised us with how well they played.
One would definitely be SSG, mainly for the fact that they're the world champions, as everyone knows, so they're no team that's a pushover by any means.
They're the reigning world champions, and they didn't slow down afterwards either. They were really good online last season, so it's a real big deal for us to beat those guys and kind of prove we're one of the best teams out there. It feels great to be one of the top 4 teams. That's what everyone's striving for, what everyone wants to get to.
It's kind of like good to see that like the work and everything that we've been putting in is paying off. Now it's just the hard part of staying consistent and staying on top.
So I'm glad with the roster changes that we made that we're still maintaining this top 4 presence.
Chemistry and camaraderie are really important in being, a successful team. You have to spend 8-10 hours a day playing with these people, talking with them, and in our case, we live together.
Having the team house that OXG provides us definitely is a huge boost in overall camaraderie and chemistry as a whole, just because you're constantly with your teammates, you're seeing what everyone's doing, you're around each other.
We usually pick up people that not only are good, but that get along with our personalities.
We get along really well outside of the game and in the game, and then our personalities outside of the game, on Twitter and stuff, all kind of mesh.
You're all in it to win, you're all in it to get it done, you're all putting 110% in. So we'll bring that into our competition and just kind of have it unveil there and just kind of show how much it improves overall.
I'm most looking forward to playing DZ. They're looking like one of the better teams in the league right now.
Player named Skies that plays on Dark Zero. He used to be a teammate of mine, but we had teamed with each other for the majority of our careers so far, so it's always fun to kind of play against him.
I look most forward to playing SSG. At the end of the day, they're the world champions, so if you can show that you can keep beating those guys, just a good confidence thing.
But what if they're not good anymore?
Then it shows that they suck.
Our team is feeling really strong right now, moving into phase 2. We've only gotten better as we've played more this season.
We have a pretty good idea of how those play styles play out and how we can maneuver around it to make maps go in our favor. So we're pretty prepared for it, for sure.
And we have a really good idea of how we want to close out the season and how we want our team to play. And right now it's just up to executing it and putting in the work, and we've been doing both so far. So we're feeling really good going into phase 2.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our very first matchup of the day. We know that we've got the goods, and we don't want you to wait too long. It's the coveted rematch between Oxygen and Space Station. The team that prevails here ends up finishing first overall, heading into the mini major. I'm Intero. This is Kickstar. And what are your initial thoughts on these two teams smashing their heads against each other yet again?
Well, Parker, I share a lot of thoughts with what Valley was talking about earlier. There is, of course, the fact that this match, when it first came up, SSG versus Oxygen, that's an 8-7, a 7-5, a 2-0 for Oxygen, to be sure, but one that certainly could have gone to a third map and could have even gone the other direction within the span of just a few rounds. However, I've been instilled with a lot of confidence in the performance of Oxygen as of late. They have proven to be considerably more consistent than they were in previous seasons, and they have the makings of a top team in North America, and they have the potential to solidify that position. Now, at the same time, I fully expect SSG to be coming to this one much more prepared and much more focused on the win. So there's really a toss-up going on here, and I think that's probably one of the things that's most exciting about this match, this rematch, is it could easily swing either way.
I have no doubt that this is going to be one of the best matches that we've seen all season. I hope that's the case, because I feel like every time I say that, I end up getting proven wrong. SSG did look like they were a little bit weaker to start off this season. Of course, not just the loss to OXG, but the fact they struggled with Disrupt. But then I think they silenced a lot of critics with their performance against Dark Zero last week. We'll see what happens against OXG, because OXG's had a bit of an easier schedule than I think a lot of people expected, though they do have very impressive wins, and I think it's safe to say that Oxygen are the real deal. This is probably the best roster that we've seen on this team so far, and they're achieving great results. Before we get to the map veto, let's talk about social media, Michael, and well, we both know that both of these teams are very good at chit-chatting. So the question for you today is going to be, which of these two teams is going to have the best post-match tweets? And down below my picture, you can see the links for our socials. Go to R6 Esports NA and cast your vote, because both these teams, they got some good Twitter fingers.
Yeah, I think that that's going to be an interesting conversation after, because it technically can be directly competed in from both squads. It's not like one of those arbitrary community votes that has to do with the, what happens in game, but rather after the match is done, the words spoken on social media will be the direct result to the vote. And I guess really I wonder, are we gonna judge that? Is there gonna be like a post after it's like these guys won or these guys won? Or is it gonna be judged by the community? That's the question I'm wondering. I guess our social media guys will have to figure that one out. But it's an interesting vote for sure, and I do fully expect there to be some big ones on that, because actually last time these teams played, I think it was Troy was mocking something about Oxygen's game plan, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, he made a post about just kill bio. That was it.
Right.
Just kill whatever operator's bio and then profit. And I mean, obviously, bio by far and away had the last laugh there with the 2-0 victory. But let's get into the maps as the teams will begin to load their way into the lobby, and we're just seconds out from getting things started. Now, when these two teams last played each other, the map pool was Oregon Consulate with Villa as the tiebreaker. Now, obviously, since it was a 2-0 for Oxygen, Villa wasn't required. Both Oregon and Consulate went by way of OXG. They were very close matches. You touched on this in the pre-show, that the scoreline of 2-0 doesn't exactly tell the full story. First bans coming out, well, SSG is going to ban out Consulate. No surprise there. They didn't have the greatest outing against OXG, and OXG proves to be quite a good team on that map, and then Oxygen bans out Clubhouse, SSG's best map. That leaves Coastline and Villa as our two very first maps, and those are both very different from one another.
Yeah, Coastline, as I'm sure most of you know, is typically seen as more of a frag-heavy map. Villa, a more strategic map. Lot more kind of tunnel vision engagements in Villa, and a lot more open, be able to react to anything kind of engagements in Coastline. So this is an interesting first two maps, because we will, I think, get to have both teams highlight their best traits, and there will be no one-sidedness. I think based on those maps, we're probably going to get to the third, which we'll find out what that third will be in but a moment. It's going to be Cafe as our last map for the series. So airing on the side of the strategic. And that is an interesting set of maps to have us set up for.
These were the maps that, interestingly enough, Villa and Cafe, both Oxygen and SSG played on in their separate series. Oxygen's against Disrupt, and SSG in their match against Dark Zero. In fact, SSG played Villa and Cafe, beating DZ by a score of 7-3 on Villa, and then on Cafe, 7-5. It was OXG over DG 7-5 on Villa, and then 7-1 on Cafe. And if you remember that fabled Cafe matchup where there was a couple issues with some operator uniforms, that ended up being a blowout for OXG. So both of these teams, they have experience on these maps. Coastline was a tiebreaker on a couple different series, but was never actually seen. So we haven't had these teams play them so far this season, which will be interesting to watch. Coastline, or SSG's map pool has mostly been Oregon, Clubhouse, and Theme Park. So they are obviously stepping outside of this. They banned out Theme Park, Oxygen banned out Oregon. This makes a lot of sense that we're going to have new contests for these two teams.
Yeah, actually, I mean, as far as maps go, while both of these teams have played Villa, as you touched on, and both of these teams won on Villa, they looked comfortable. Neither of these teams have played on Coastline, and most importantly, these two maps, actually for our whole division, are the least played maps so far through this season. So we're getting something fresh, in a sense, for this rematch, and I kind of appreciate that. Cafe, on the other side, is one of the more commonly played, but it actually shares the same statistics as Villa, so it's, it's about in the middle of the pack, I guess. But overall, I'm really excited to see something new in that Coastline, which has kind of been in the shadows for this season so far. I'm curious to see how it pans out for both squads, as we don't really have any relevant information as of late for that map. So that's probably my main focus of anticipation, is just map number 1 right off the cuff.
The one thing that I'm really eager for is to see who falls off of these two teams, because I don't suspect that we're going to have many bad performances, but given how close these two teams are, given the fact that Oxygen are looking mighty fine, they've surged so far this season. I think SSG showed that they were a bit more mortal, but in the post-game interview after Dark Zero, there was some discussion about how they kind of needed some motivation. They needed a wake-up call, and they got it. And a motivated space station is a scary thing. They're going to be exceptionally motivated in this matchup. probably far more than they were against Dark Zero, because this is a rematch. And you know, after they talked trash on social media, that there is a redemption arc here that they want to complete, lest they get egg on their face for a second time. For Oxygen, I don't suspect that complacency will be much of an issue, but they are a team that has secured their spot in the mini-major. They were the first team to actually qualify for the major. They just have to make sure that they don't give SSG an inch. Continue to play that frustrating, unpredictable style that worked so well last time, and if all 5 of your players show up, I think Foxy had a bad outing, if I remember correctly, but if everybody else shows up, you're going to be in pretty good shape against SSG.
Yeah, and if we're looking at stats, and you're talking about bad outings, everybody has them, but if we're looking at stats, both of these teams actually remarkably are almost entirely above board. So by that I mean they're close to around a 1.0 rating if you count that statistic as being valuable, but otherwise almost all positive in the kill-death ratio if you count that statistic as being valuable. No matter how you look at it, though, everyone's contributing something on both squads, and having that well-rounded roster, I think, is what has allowed both of these teams to meet such success so far through this season, and it's what I think is going to be the most important thing in this match. Keeping in mind, however, standout performances, I can definitely disrupt that. We have across-the-board team contribution for both squads, but when a player like Laxing or Bosco really shows up and picks up more frags than anticipated, that can be the difference between taking a whole map and losing a series and such and such. So I think we're going to have to put a lot of focus on the team as a whole, sure, but also pay attention to who breaks away. You were talking about who's going to fall off, and that's also very important, but which one of these players is going to break away from the rest of the pack will definitely dictate a lot of the rounds and thus maps and thus the series.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It was touched on in the analyst segment beforehand. Fultz had a bad outing. Foxy had a bad outing. I will disagree with Veli on one thing. He said that Laxing is the best flank watch in the game. Laxing might be the best flank in North America, but you're about to collide head-on with the best flank watch in North America, which is Thinking Nade. Ooh. That's what I would say, at least, and I know there are a lot of teams that would agree with that. So, Veli, you're wrong, but that's fine. We'll quarrel about it later, I'm sure. The thing is that with the way that OXG were playing last time, there wasn't as much emphasis on Laxing playing well. Bio was extraordinary. Slash showed up and he won a couple rounds all on his own, if you remember. He did great work on those anchor rolls, and he was very clutch at the final moment, winning a bunch of 1vx's, if I remember, or he and a teammate win a 2vx. And then Vertical had a good series too. Like I said, the thing that's going to come down to me is which team has somebody fall asleep at the wheel. If Bio has a bad game, if Foxy has a bad game, OXG's gonna be in trouble. But the last time around, they benefited from Fultz having a bad game. That's probably not gonna happen again from SSG. So you'll have to look at exactly who falls asleep and how the teams are able to overcome that.
Well, we've got everything ready, so we're going to load into a map number 1. It'll be Coastline, and it'll be SSG starting on attack, Oxygen starting on defense. The ban phase will start us off. And I know this is a little bit late, but we were talking about players, and I think one player that doesn't necessarily get flown? That doesn't work. Doesn't get thrown under the radar very often is Bosco. He gets talked about, sure, but I think it's worth noting that he is the clutch master for North America right now, at least for the US division, having the most clutches, 1vx's, in the region, right next to Sloppy, who also has 5. Both of them have 5. So if he's able to show up today and not only lead in stats, but also lead in those clutches and bring up those rounds, I think that SSG should have a really good outing. We're going to get the ban phase started off with 2 attackers, Nomad and Lion. Laxing is contradicting the Lion ban, it seems. I'm not sure what the conversation really is there, Parker.
I've been trying to read what they say, and it's just useless. It's filler. That's all it is. These are some very interesting bands, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Nomad, Lion, Wamai, and Pulse. I mean, they're not weird, but they're definitely not common. And if you were to look at the ban rate of certain operators at the top, none of them are in there. There's no Valk ban. There's no Mira ban. Echo is back in play. You could see him get used. Maestro is still in play. Goodness, there's an awful lot of stuff. Hibana is available as well. Are we going to see a hard breacher here on Coastline and completely change things up? There's a lot that these teams have to play with, and with Wamai being banned as well, Capitao is incredibly valuable because there's nothing to stop him from being effective. I would be surprised if SSG doesn't end up 6th picking onto him at some point.
We'll see. I'm really personally mostly shocked about the pulse ban. I understand its relevance, and to be fair, as far as teams go, SSD is one of the teams that uses pulse very well. But other than that, there's nothing too crazy going on here, to be honest. As Jesse is trying to tell us, so I'll make sure he gets credited for this. Jesse is informing us that this is the very first time since Tokoname that Oxygen have played Coastline. And as Parker mentioned, this is their pick. Oxygen wanted to go here.
5 seconds left before insertion.
Thank Mr. Chick. Can we get that, please? Thank Mr. Chick.
Big brain chick.
Yeah, there you go. Thank Mr. Chick for those contributions. And honestly, Jesse's been putting out excellent content on his own. I've really enjoyed it, and I think you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody who is a harder and more dedicated worker than Jesse has been so far. But let's start off round number 1. Nearly an opportunity for OXG to take out one player from SSG, but the shots missed. That was Vertical as he'd gone fishing through the main window of Penthouse. This is not a Penthouse Theater defense. The defense is downstairs in kitchen, but OXG is going to play very aggressively over top of it. Bio is also roaming deep off site. He'll head towards main lobby. He's roaming his alibi. That was the 6th pick for Oxygen.
Now, you could do some work with an alibi in terms of distraction. You just heard the pings. Somebody shot one of Alibi's prismas and thus got pinged a few times there. And sometimes that can be, good delay. When you're getting pinged like that as an attacker, I know it's not very lethal usually, but I'm sure most of you experience this. You shoot a prisma on accident, whoopsie, and then you spend 5 to 7 seconds just waiting for those pings to stop, and you back off, and you wait, and you wait, and you wait. And the more that happens, the more you'll notice that the time is being shaved away slowly but surely by a very potent 3-speed operator with a good kit who can, now delay for an extensive amount of time. Speaking of a good kit and an interesting one, the Yana being brought here. We've been seeing this a lot in the European League, but not a whole lot in the North American League. And it's going to allow Canadian to go for an attempted plant here. C4 should deny that. And there it is. Down goes Canadian.
Really close to being able to pull that one off. And, well, that's as ballsy a play as you're going to find. 2 pieces of utility were used. That diffuser will be in a very precarious spot for Space Station to have to go get. I mean, it was a gamble from Canadian. It very nearly worked. Oxygen has some trouble on their own side of things as Fultz's G8 finds Biologic, and there's another smoke that's going to go on a Thinking Nade. Will be able to do enough? Yes, he loses half of his HP. He bails on the defuse. Down goes Foxay to Rampy. These are the players off site that are getting picked apart, leaving an even harder job for the anchors, as eventually Thinking Nade will go back in through that window. As you can see, there's no toxic canisters left. There's no C4 on the board, so you're just going to have to take engagements head on, and that's exactly what Slash will do. His teammates still falling around him, trying to soften up. He'll manage to catch Thinking Nade, flicks on over, lots of damage done, shotgun out. You need to watch your flank, young man, because there's Laxing, but Rampy figures him out. And Fultz and Rampy, a full house, 3 kills for one, 2 kills for the other. SSG takes the very first round.
And you were talking about how Fultz needs to have that performance, as he really did not perform in the last time these teams met. And he's already starting off with the bang. Well done to him, 3K in that round. The holes opened up prone inside of kitchen, allowed for the vast majority of kills on the entry for SSG, for Fultz in particular. Those holes, I'm sure, if kitchen is defended again, probably won't be made. I mean, I would be surprised if Oxygen committed to those holes again, given how painful it was to anchor in the site with them being in place. The vault in through the kitchen window, an attempted plant by Canadian, you said it yourself, was a gamble, didn't pay off, but what it did accomplish is a tremendous amount of wasted utility. Slash was a little bit over-eager, a little gun-ho with those gas canisters. He not only threw one with the C4, which tells us all that they've got poor communication in that moment, but he also threw 2 gas canisters to stop one plant attempt one would have been just fine in that scenario. And yeah, that resulted in much less delay. If Slash still had 2 gas canisters when the engagement started coming out, he would have been able to deny angles to the attack. He would have been able to deny the push, been much more comfortable in taking all of his individual fights, and maybe would have persisted on the bomb chassis a little bit longer. It's unfortunate it panned out that way, but it did. The roam also for Oxygen, really falling flat. It did delay for a while, but no frags on that roam.
Yeah, it was very surprising. Your clutch play came from those that were on site trying to turn away the tides of Space Station, but that was about it. I don't know if OXG is going to get lucky this time around, as it's take 2 through this peek in the Penthouse window. Vertical trying to play off it. There might be a Valkyrie camera outside, as he sure does seem to know the location of what appears to be the silhouette of Thinking Nade, but not entirely sure. Vertical will just sit there and wait for a moment. 30 seconds gone, but he hasn't been able to really do anything. So I guess just sit still. This is going to be another kitchen defense. For Oxygen, they are going to be posted up in different locations. You see that Bio, who was playing over by security and main lobby, will now be playing off a deployable shield and an alibi decoy, 2 to be exact, over by Hookah. The entry from Space Station will very likely involve the VIP portion of the map, as you want to take as much control above as possible. And given the fact that there's a buck on the board for Bosco, you have plenty of opportunity to do that. Smokes and track stingers in the hands of Fultz, but there goes Thinking Nade. Immediate action too from Vertical. Plant going down from Canadian. Can they deny him? He's tucked away in the corner, and he'll be able to get away with it. But there's Fox. He wakes up. So does Slash. It's Bosco in a 1v4. He has to rush on over. Are they just going to barricade themselves out? Swinging on Bosco, he's taken down. And once again, a very brazen take from Space Station. Well, it doesn't work out as well this time. A go for broke strategy, and, well, you end up going broke. Oxygen's very first round, and these teams are tied up.
All right, so the difference maker here is, most importantly, SSG invested more into the planned attempt. All the engagements on the periphery of the plant were unsuccessful for SSG. Oxygen rallying and taking the fight to the enemy. The confidence shown there by Oxygen bodes well for their chances in this map and this match. They were not deflated by that first unsuccessful round, nor the poor play within it. You love to see stuff like that. We're definitely going to have a ball game. That's what we're seeing off of these 2 rounds. And, you know, you mentioned it earlier, Parker. Sometimes when we expect matches to be really exciting and super close, we get those absolute blowouts. But I'm hopeful and optimistic for not now, not here, based on those 2 rounds. That was a very brisk pace set there by SSG, as you made note of, pardon me, in the action phase. And I'm not sure that that's going to continue. I expect SSG to slow down a little bit, to take a deep breath, and to focus on their more common considered strategic play that we're used to seeing from them. I'm really interested in this Yana play. I'm assuming what's happening here is he's bringing Yana to like bait out any potential shots on his attempted plant spot, and if he doesn't see any, he goes for the plant. It's not worked out all that well for Canadian so far. He did get the plant last round, to be fair, but obviously at the expense of the round as a whole.
I mean, you got to give credit to SSG for the way that they're trying to do this. It is a breakneck pace that they're looking to set, obviously making up for lost time, as both these teams took a while to get into the lobby. If I'm gonna throw them under the bus, I'm gonna expose them.
It did
like
take
that.
some time, yeah.
It did. It took way too long. Both of you, you were on notice. Dear Oxygen, dear SSG, please be quicker in the future. Appreciate that. Thanks. Swiftness. This is a Hookah defense. And, well, once again, you've got some pretty standard offsite play. Vertical playing at the top of Cool Vibe Stairs. Fox A on the Vigil will be playing at the top of Luggage. He'll be in a tricky spot to drone out. When you do try to drone around that area, maybe he's in Theater. That's a common spot for a Vigil to be. He has impacts. He can play inside that area. He can also rotate on into Penthouse. He's made his way over towards Hall of Fame, and we'll go back into Penthouse. But once again, with those impacts that a Vigil will bring, he can possibly rotate as much as he wants. That's a moot point, though, because he does have a bulletproof camera, but at this point, you don't really know that. You don't necessarily know whether he's bringing that or not, so you have to be very aware of that. And when you drone out over by the top of main stairs, he could be in security, could be in theater, could be in Penthouse, etc. It's, like I said, it's a very strong position to play off of.
All right. Vertical absolutely dumpsters that drone. It's It's one less for the attack. They're going to have less information tools. But luckily, Troy, Canadian, is on that Yana. He's using, the thing that I find most curious is that he is using the... he's not using the G36C. I'm surprised by that. Bosco gets laxing as he just pushes into the blue hallway. And, alright then. Early pick, and there's another one, as Foxay is in the blue bar, completely exposed. SSG, 2 frags to lead it off.
That was perfectly played out by SSG, though. Bosco got the pick, and then immediately headed right back into Sunrise. The rest of his avenues are completely barricaded off. He doesn't have to worry about getting pushed from blue or from the doorway of kitchen, so he looks towards courtyard. The way out for Oxygen from the Vigil was to go through blue bar, but there's somebody watching on the window. An unlikely spot to find them at. That was a missed opportunity from Slash. He almost blew the Goyo shield down as well. We'd seen a kill from Fultz as well just a moment before. There's one for Rampy, and if Vertical can get the buck here, it'll prevent a flawless round, but this one is essentially over unless we see some incredible heroics from Vertical. We won't. He gets taken down on Cool Vibe Stairs. SSG takes round number 3.
All right, yeah, so the clear downstairs was really the star of the show there for SSG, their ability to pinch and sandwich the defenders below, and then pick them off without any repercussions. Well done to Space Station. Oxygen struggling below, and the sight hold wasn't really doing all that much better. You could see that SSG was putting a light presence above, preventing common peaks and rotations from the anchors within the sights, particularly by Vase. That repel on the Hookah balcony was crippling for Vertical. He was unable to rotate over to the pink bar and gain better position to repel the attack, and he was unable to peek into Hookah. He couldn't rotate below because all of his anchors had just died, or rather roamers had just died there, so there was no real play for Vertical. And we saw that struggle in his decision-making. You could tell he was like, heck, what do I do? The whole round, basically, because Space Station was stifling. Well done to them, and well done on that bottom floor clear. I do think, though, I will say, I think Oxygen presented far too easy a target on the bottom floor roam.
The one thing that I've noticed, and I hate to dwell on it, and we seem to dwell on it quite a lot, is that there wasn't a lot of team play on the roams that we've seen from Oxygen.
Team play?
Team play. They have largely been playing off of themselves, which is, to be fair, something that is quite common from Oxygen. They like to play off their own abilities. Laxing can support himself on the roam. Foxay can support himself on entries. We've seen this time and time again against a wide variety of opponents. That style of play, though, does come with a drawback, because if those players who are playing off of their own abilities have an off day or are well read and then shut down aggressively by teams, then you've effectively killed your whole strategy. You've put yourself at a very large disadvantage. It's something that Laxing has done for his whole career, and, it's his calling card, and he's extremely good at it, but there are some days where it just doesn't work because your opponent is prepared. We'll see what he can do on Vigil so far, as he has yet to find a kill through these 3 rounds of action, and he's very close to engaging with Rampy, who had used what appeared to be one drone over by that service door, and will now send another one over towards Cool Vibe Stairs. Laxing will remain inside of that pantry area. He'll get droned out by Rampy in kitchen, and he's on the drone hunt.
I think you're well read, Parker.
Oh, thanks, Michael. I try my best. I think it's important to read.
Yes, reading is nice. Canadians.
It sounds like somebody just got hit by a skeleton key.
That was Laxing. Because Canadian is droning out Laxing right now, and we're not sure if he's using his ability or not, but he's been spotted, and he'll be finished off by Bosco from above. So down goes your roamer, who was playing by service entrance.
That's a rough day. That's a rough day for Laxing so far. I have no doubt he'll pick it up. He doesn't usually stay cool for an entire match. Maybe he'll have a bad map, but he'll be fine after that. It does put you in a disadvantage, though, because you now have somebody who's playing off-site to no longer worry about. And SSG have talked at length in past interviews about how they shut down Laxing. They weren't necessarily able to do it in the matchup just a couple days ago, but they're seemingly doing a great job of it now. Down goes Vertical. Biologic had taken a bit of damage as he was playing inside of Sunrise. Foxay is gone, and this is just OXG right now being ripped to shreds.
No real bounce back, no real bite back here from Oxygen. Biologic attempting to play the long angle through the blue bar. He hasn't found the scoreboard yet, and he's not likely to do so in this round, as he's on low HP. He'll die to a single bullet from majority of guns. So most pressure on Slash here. There's only 40 seconds left, and he has all 3 gas canisters, so there is a delay factor to be considered here if you're SSG, but they're likely to just collapse in unison and rip these last 2 players to shreds. And down goes Biologic, no collapse necessary, 2 angles being played there, and a flawless round for SSG as Slash finds the floor right after. So this has seemed, these last few rounds at least, to be quite dominantly in favor of Space Station.
Very nearly a flawless round on round 3 as well. Remember, there was 1 kill on Bosco, but then immediately traded off. So only 1 kill over the last 7 minutes or so for Oxygen. Obviously not ideal. And they abandoned Hookah after not proving to be successful on that defense. Went down to the double bars and had an even worse go of it. So now they're going to go to Kitchen. They're going to go back to Hookah. It looked like they had Kitchen lined up for a second there, but no. They're going to go to Hookah. This is interesting. Kitchen is open. I wonder the thought process here, because the bomb site that you won on, you struggled a little bit the first time, but you very clearly excelled the second time, in large part because that was a rush from SSG that got immediately shut down. I wonder why you don't go back there. Because Hookah, you got isolated playing in VIP. You got isolated playing over by the top of luggage. It was the entry kill, if you remember correctly, from Bosco, picked off Laxing on Cool Vibe stairs, and then Rampy just held blue bar. Foxay didn't expect the window to be open, and he got gunned down. It's now a 3v5. SSG didn't press too quickly. They used their utility. They used their gadgetry. They pushed Oxygen back from that B bomb site. They attacked towards A, towards Aqua, and then they just picked them off one by one. It didn't work out all that well for Oxygen, but they're going to go back here, and I would imagine that they think they have a better fighting chance with the Clash in their arsenal. Bio will instead be no longer on the Goyo, will instead be playing Clash, a very challenging operator to deal with.
I assume they're going back to this site because they're doing something different. Their setup is very, very different. They are not as invested into the bottom floor roam. They are bringing the Clash to delay as long as they can by blue instead of holding downstairs. They've opened up only one of the Hookah walls rather than both. The roam is in a completely different position on the east side. It's a top floor hold this time. There's lots of setup invested on the east side of the top floor by Projector and Penthouse. You can see Foxay set up many holes to try and pick off a player or two on that clear. You expect SSG to go for that clear. As you can see, based on the drones, they're droning out below right now. But if they don't clear out the top floor east side, then they won't be able to attack onto Aqua at all or VIP. So it's going to be a part of the process for SSG. They'll have to invest in that if they want to execute anywhere other than exclusively Hookah, which can be late round denied from below if SSG hasn't cleared out underneath.
SSG's also swapped up Fultz onto that Jackal, and it looks like he's droning over where Foxay is playing by Penthouse. Foxay will once again hold up by the theater portion of this map. He'll play over by 90. And then look towards the skylight. This is so risky, and I mean, he must be feeling his aim because that is a free kill for the attackers more often than not. You don't peek that skylight in that way. Risky move. He gets away with it, though, and you'll see that Clash gets double droned out on Cool Vibe stairs.
Yeah, they know where she is, at least. The obstacle is identified.
Wonder if they've made a call now, as it looks like Vertical is in a position to support the Clash. There goes an ADS, and it's placed down. A drone on Cool Vibe stairs will give away the Jaeger's position, so the jig is up and more drones sitting at the bottom of those stairs. Another ADS goes down. These were sitting inside of the pocket of Vertical for so long. An EMP goes off, and then immediately a grenade from Canadian tosses in. It finds its target, and there you go. The opening pick goes by way of Space Station.
That's the Yana getting the nade by Vase. The EMPs were being stacked on that position. It's so important to dislodge the defender from Vase so you can execute into Hookah, which is exactly the game plan for SSG. They also have control downstairs, and Foxay on the East Roam will be eliminated by Fultz, who was hunting him. Well, nothing really working so far for Oxygen on the setup. It's been perfectly picked apart by SSG. The shot call and the site execution is exactly what you need, and all of these anchor positions are feeling pressure from below. Slash will incur 75 points of damage thanks to Bosco's diligent work with the skeleton key. But only 15 seconds left for the attack to hit the site. Fultz takes down Slash. That's the smoke in the site. Laxing will get Rampy, but that's not the diffuser, so Laxing will have to deny the plant. Likely the C4 will attempt to do so. It doesn't get the planter, but it does get one more for Laxing. If he can pick up the kills, it might be possible, but not so. Fultz shuts him down, and SSG take yet another round, 5-1.
Diffuser doesn't even need to go down, and in fact, there's only been one successful plant, and it was in the lost round from Space Station. They don't seem too keen on running this. What were you going to say?
I said 5-1. I'm correcting myself to 4-1. It feels like it's 5-1 at this point. We've been kind of rocketing past the score line here.
That's true. We have been.
Yeah.
It has been a very lopsided game so far. And frankly, you know, Oxygen have just not looked sharp. It seems like they are just slowly getting compressed by SSG every round. Their roam isn't working out. They got the opening pick in rounds 1 and 2. Since then, SSG were able to isolate those roamers and play effectively off of it. SSG is bringing good utility. They've swapped out quite a large number of operators. They've almost always had smokes in their lineup. This time they're going to forego smokes, but they brought a Gridlock before. They brought the Jackal. They've been switching things up as need be. Fultz being the flex pick, and he's having a great game so far at 8 kills and 1 death through 6 rounds. I don't know what's going wrong with Oxygen. Coastline is a map that does tend to play very well towards aggressive plays, and it can be a major challenge for the defense to excel, especially if they get knocked off. Things should hopefully change for Oxygen when they swap sides at the end of this round. Doesn't matter what the score line is, Oxygen's going to have a crack at attacking. The biggest focus right now is just win this round. Don't find yourself in a 5-1 deficit. That is such a hole to dig yourself out of.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Parker. I think Oxygen just need to peel off one more round for this half, and they should be fine for the second. You could see that they're getting a little bit aggressive, I guess we could say, going for some peeks that you typically wouldn't. Vertical won't find anyone. He's not actually peeking the window. He just opened it and is waiting for sound cues, so he knows if he should or should not peek it. Right now, the clear for SSG is coming from the west side. I gotta say, thus far, Space Station shot calling has been at maximum percent, like just perfect 100% accuracy. They're exploiting almost every gap in the defense. But even if your shot calling is good, you generally aren't going to beat a shotgun at that close range. Well done to Slash, getting aggressive, taking down the Ash of Rampy on the blue stairs. And that's not just a really big pick there in terms of, you know, getting yourself in the man advantage, but it's also Rampy of all players.
There goes Slash, so he gets rewarded for that opening pick by Fultz, and now it looks like the Ella of Biologic is up on deck. SSG will wait in security to see if they can coax out the Ella playing in that spot, supported by Vertical, not too far away inside a main lobby, but that is not a position where you, if you are Oxygen, can refrag easily at all. Look at this spread of operators once again. This is a kitchen defense. You've got 3 people playing far enough off-site that it is worth noting. My goodness. That leaves Foxay in the bomb site. That's it. Laxing is playing upstairs by the vase at the top of White Stairs by Theater. And then you've got the other members of OXG inside of lobby and then over by security. Grenade goes in from Canadian. That'll just shake the shield off of its spot and then he'll vault in. But this time it's the clone trying to lure out Oxygen. Runs out of time, got the intel that he wants. He's ready to push in and he'll go in. He hits the Gizmat mine and then immediately falls out. Is there a C4? Well, an EMP goes down. Michael Fultz with a kill on the vertical. Foxay still waiting, primed and ready. He's got a C4. There it goes. But an EMP does not catch it. Foxay is the better Canadian this time around. Thinking Nade picks up that diffuser, and he will have to do what his teammate was unable to do with 40 seconds left.
You could tell Thinking Nade was trying to deny the C4 with the EMPs, but it didn't work out. Laxing will get Fultz. Now, suddenly, Oxygen are looking like they're going to get their one extra round. 4-2 scoreline is certainly recoverable. We've seen that many times through this season. But down goes Laxing. That's big. Thinking Nade from above eliminates the Jaeger. That could be the difference maker. With only 15 seconds left, SSG are going to have to rush into that site. Biologic and Foxay will need to repel the attack. And it's looking easier and easier as the time continues to count down to 0. Down goes Thinking Nade down the kitchen door. The last one vaulting in through the window. Bosco will not even get one player. Foxay, a big round, and Oxygen will take their second out of the first half.
Now, I know it's deceptive that Foxay was playing all on his own inside of kitchen, but the rest of the team, Bio, who wasn't really a factor at all. Vertical, who was playing inside a main lobby, he wasn't really a factor at all. And obviously there was a pick that had happened from SSG to try to take away some of that lobby presence. But one of the things that Oxygen did so well there that SSG couldn't answer was, how do we deal with this roam? It sure seemed like Space Station was aware of Laxing playing up inside of luggage. That's exactly why I believe it was Rampy pivoted to look in that direction, but he lost the gunfight to Laxing, as so many people do. And for whatever reason, Space Station were unable to drone effectively and pinch the roamers and those playing off site like they have in so many rounds before. And Fox 8 could sit on site alone and not really have to worry about it. Now, here's the greater issue that I find from SSG was that they were so focused on what appeared to be roam clearing, they didn't realize that they could have hit the site. After they killed Slash, the only thing stopping you is a Valkyrie. When Canadian hops in to go get the diffuser down and Fox 8 goes to throw the C4, thinking they could have very easily jumped in the window and peeked that too, or Canadian could have just tried to peek it or had somebody else do that, and then they would have had full control of the bomb site. It would have forced them, in terms of Oxygen, to retake through bathroom. That's a pretty easy place to hold. You can post somebody up on service door, watch the angle towards the kitchen door. You can have somebody play by that window, and SSG would have found themselves in excellent shape, but they didn't see that. And I don't know if that was because of the way that OXG had structured their defense and it was just so good that Space Station were having a hard as hell time to figure out the site, but they could have very easily pushed the site and taken advantage of the fact that Fox A was all on his own. Instead, they engaged with Fox A one by one, and they let him win all those fights.
So I guess the shot calling percentage for SSG is 66%, or 66.666 reoccurring percent. Because there he got the 4 of the 2 rounds, and yeah, the attempted plant there, I guess, was... I think it was less aggressive and lethal than it could have been. I agree with you, Parker. There was a lot of potential to just hit the site. But we were looking at Valkyries performing in that last round. It was Fox A, and now it's going to be Canadian himself inside of Office with a good hold to eliminate the Buck. I'm not really sure what happened there. I would have imagined there'd be droning into Office, but it didn't seem like there was, and... well, you lose a player for free because of that. There is a response, though. Rampy, the roamer, over by the blue hallway, taken down, looks like through the wall, as Vertical entries into Sunrise.
Well, you've got both Rampy and Fultz showing up big time, and that's exactly what they needed out of Space Station. It's more trouble now, though, as Fultz almost trades his life for a pick onto Vertical, and, well, the Ash of Vertical doesn't really lose all that much. The good news for Fultz is that he's got stim pistols, as he's playing as that Doc inside a main lobby, and he's able to get himself right back up to full HP. Unlikely to challenge that angle yet again. He's going to play a little bit more static, as drones will be thrown his way, and he will try to hold the line inside a main lobby. His focus will be towards courtyard, towards the wall in the kitchen that has been shot out, and then also bathroom. Those are going to be very crucial spots that they watch out on.
That's actually wrong. It isn't reoccurring. It's 66.67, right?
Michael, if you write another haiku, I am going to quit.
What? I wasn't going to write a haiku. What? I won't write a haiku, Parker.
Thank you.
It's okay.
They were very good, though.
Thank you. That was a narrow missed shot there, or narrowly missed shot from Biologic. Speaking of, he hasn't found the scoreboard yet. He's looking for it. And Fultz is going to actually move away, not giving him the opportunity. It'll be someone else to pick up that kill. Laxing from the skylight, but down goes Vertical, who has been pushing up from the Sunrise bar. Thinking Nate also gets Biologic as he gets a little aggressive on the defense, and that's in the main lobby. Biologic once more shunned from the scoreboard. Now, it's all on Fox A and Laxing in the last 20 seconds, and they don't really have a great chance here, as they're far from each other, and that's not going to help their coordination on the push. Fox A looks desperate, as he's going to go somewhere else entirely. At least Laxing will get yet another pick. I'm sure Thinking Nate is wondering why Laxing is still on the skylight with 5 seconds left in the round, but the descent works out for Laxing. Easy gets his 3rd kill. Fox A trying to go for the plant. It is known that Canadian is above, but will he be able to deny the plant with the C4? No! It doesn't break the carpet! And Canadian won't be able to deny that plant. He doesn't know where it was. The C4 won't give him the info. Now in a post-plant scenario, he has to find 2 targets with 34 seconds left. He will deny the vault sound, but the drop is heard. Fox A and Laxing are far afield from this diffuser, and there's almost no chance for this crossfire to be dislodged. Laxing picks up his 4K. Oxygen will take the round, and it's off of a beautiful save from Laxing in particular.
There's no world in which Oxygen should have won that round. If I was SSG, I would feel pretty cheated.
Yep.
They Space Station had good coverage above. As you pointed out, it was extremely challenging to expect Oxygen to be able to pull that one off. Laxing in particular, 33 seconds was how much time was left on the clock when he was sitting on Skylight and he caught somebody.
He did his job.
You are in, imagine you are a defender. Imagine you're a defender. It's a 3v2. There's 3 of you left. You go to rotate because you realize with 30 seconds on the clock, give or take, they have to pull it off and you get killed from Skylight.
I mean, Parker.
Of your 2 opponents, one is on the Skylight with 30 seconds left. I would rage quit.
Parker, now the question is that credit to Veli's point of Laxing being the best flank watch, or is that credit against Laxing? I mean, it worked, right?
I mean, I get it. Laxing plays his own style of game, and in fact, it was quite smart to have somebody there. The problem is that if Foxay makes a mistake, Laxing is useless at that point. He's totally useless, right? And I get that. If something goes wrong, or if something's go really right, oftentimes flank watch is a bit redundant. You don't really need it because you've got everything else working for you. I know. But man, I was like, I saw Laxing get the kill from Sky, and I'm like, no way this guy's on Skylight with 30 seconds left.
That's what I thought too.
No way.
He was there for a long time. How did he even get down? Did he repel? He must have, because he came from the garden. He could have dropped, I guess, onto the platform.
I think he dropped onto Hookah.
I think he dropped onto. He either rappelled down, which is unlikely, or he dropped onto the garden balcony, which is probably, I think, is most likely, because I know he came from garden. He definitely didn't come from Hookah. I don't think he did. I don't know. His transition was too quick to garden, in my opinion. But whichever route he took, it worked out for Laxing, who really picked up big for that round. And yeah, you could talk about how weird his positioning was, and I would agree with you. But I mean, it worked. So yeah, definitely caught SSG off guard. And it was big.
I would have been fuming. I would have been so mad.
Yeah, I would have been mad too if I died Skylight.
I would have been furious. I'm like, yeah, I just got killed from Skylight. If you were to put up a Twitter poll right now or a Twitch poll and you were to ask, you just got killed from Skylight with 30 seconds left, which member of Oxygen did it? It's everybody be like, yeah, it's Laxing.
Yeah, definitely Laxing. Yeah.
It's on brand for him. Anyway, we've focused an awful lot on that. This is a double bar defense. We've seen this bomb site once so far. It was a flawless victory for the attackers. So not exactly the best record on defense right now for this bomb site.
Now, you can see Thinking Nade trying to get a little aggressive. C4 will miss from below. That's really good for the soft destructors. Thinking Nade will be pushed back, and his C4 will miss. Nobody by Vase. He tried to throw it through that little gap in the Vase wall at the top of the staircase, and you can see where it detonated at the top of your screen. Another C4 will miss. Yeah, it looks like that was Bosco's. So that's all 3 C4s. Solid misses for SSG. And that is going to take a lot of pressure off of Oxygen's shoulders as they continue to open up from above.
I would be pretty happy if I was that. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on with these C4s of Space Station. If you're going to bring 3 of them, you need to be netting something with that. And given the fact there's only been about 24, 23 damage done to Laxing through 2 minutes and 10 seconds, not entirely the most effective. So now the walls, which had closed in on Oxygen when they were on defense, appear to be closing in on Space Station, as Oxygen's setup is going to come from inside a mudroom and then over towards Cool Vibes as well. They'll get the opening pick as Laxing on flank watch takes down Rampy. Maybe he's trying to make me eat my words, Michael. I'm not entirely sure. There's another for Oxygen onto Vertical, killing Bosco. Biologic going for the defuse, and another from Vertical. Oh, another from Vertical. 3 for Vertical. I'm just going to keep saying that over and over and over again. Diffuser goes down, and Fultz might as well be in no man's land. He is miles away. The attackers playing so well right now, and well, it was a flawless round for Space Station on attack, and it looks like the favor might be returned. Fultz just needs to find 1 kill. He can break that. There he goes. He'll get it on the Foxay. So no flawless round, but still, you've gone through half of that diffuser. Yeah, there's no way he's getting out of here. He knows that. Maybe take time, let Troy do some IGLing. You're not going to get past Laxing. He's still inside of the main lobby. He knew that you were playing in kitchen or over towards bathroom. You're not going anywhere. Laxing has really shown up big. He had a bad first half. He has turned it around, and both these teams are tied up after 8 rounds.
So I think that's 2 for Laxing, 3 for Vertical in that round. We're seeing those real standout performances on the Oxygen lineup, and as you said, we're evened out now, where once this looked like SSG dominance, now it's certainly looking a lot like, well, an actual match, which is great. I'm happy for that. Now, that last round was a very simple strategy from Oxygen. It's vertical pressure to push the anchors away from the site to allow for a pink carpet plant. And that worked out well. The smokes were cover on the long angles, prevented the anchors who had been pushed away to deny the plant. The picks that Oxygen got via opening up above and forcing the defenders into uncomfortable positions that they then got eliminated in worked out. There was no bite back at all from SSG. There were attempts made and none successful to deny that plant or to take fights against the roam clear or to re-establish their position in anchor spots with those C4s. And because of that lack of success, I mean, SSG just fell flat. That's the end of the story. And, you know, partially that's chance. Sure. The 3 C4s being missed above, that's really unfortunate if you're SSG. But at the same time, that is what it is. It happened that way. So, no bounce back. And Oxygen, their plan worked out great.
That was... I don't know. That was a rough one. These have been rough. I would be demotivated ever since that loss where the nitro cell just didn't work. I would be somewhat demotivated. I think SSG just needs to mentally reset after that and get their heads back in the game.
Great.
Though we are seeing that Coastline is just skewing towards the attack. So a 4-2 scoreline is very likely for both sides given the way this map plays, and then overtime will be required. Presumably. I mean, there's still a lot left to play, and I like the lineup that Oxygen is bringing. They've made a couple changes. They're going to tinker with this, and they're obviously realizing how much value you're going to get out of a Capitao. It was something that I had noted before we even got into round number 1, and I mean, I'm no smarter than an average bear, so I'm sure that these players definitely understand it.
Ooh.
Canadian wins his gun duel against Vertical. The Ash is rebuffed inside of luggage, packed up, and shipped off to a new home. That's the opening pick for Canadian, as he expects somebody from Oxygen to be upstairs. It's a reactive C4 toss intended for either Foxy or Biologic, but he's about 2 seconds too early. He very easily could have taken out another member of Oxygen. It's just a bit of a waste in this case, but Oxygen has that second floor control that they wanted and that they need.
They're going to be opening up from above as a result, same as the double bar defense. No C4 left for SSG after Canadian, who had the only one on the defense, used his up. Breach charge is being placed. That's easy to hear. And Bosco will react. Repositioning. You can see how uncomfortable Bosco becomes after that hole is made. He now doesn't have very many spots to play in the site, and he has to be concerned with that. Now, if you also simultaneously lose control of the periphery of the site, like, for example, by Sunrise Bar, then Bosco can't play exactly where he is right now by the default plan. See how exposed he is to the kitchen door? So if Canadian Rampy get pushed off a Sunrise, suddenly where do you hide if you're an anchor? Pretty much nowhere. So it's up to Oxygen to decide where they want to execute. So far, they don't seem too particularly focused on one individual spot. So they're going to continue to look. Wow, that's a shotgun blast through the floor that Foxy will eat up and take almost all of his damage. Or almost all of his HP in damage, rather. But Laxing by the front door does get Fultz. Wonder if he's going to expect a second. Answer no. Thinking Nade will take down Laxing. That's a big shutdown for SSG.
That was a one fight for Laxing, and that might have actually been the round, as you can then begin to waltz into the bathroom. There goes Canadian, perfectly read by Foxy. He's still above 1 HP. He has to be very wary of any form of shrapnel or anything along those lines, or even Thinking Nade playing down below. The Jaeger right now proving to be quite a monster. He and Bosco trapped inside of the bathroom with Rampy playing offsite will leave Biologic in a 1v3, sprays through the wall and manages to find Rampy, his very first kill of this match. But it's all for naught, utterly impactless, as SSG breaks the stalemate and they regain the lead.
Well done there to SSG. The key to that round was the fact that SSG managed to maintain control of not only Sunrise Bar, but also the kitchen, thereby allowing for a multitude of positions outside of the site itself to anchor and then later retake the site. This is valuable because of the soft destruction mentioned earlier in the round. If you're opening up from above, and your anchor positions in the site become ineffective. You know, you get like 2 words in your head, and you're like, which one do I say, Parker?
That's never happened to me.
Never happened to you? Wow, I'm impressed.
Never in my life.
Wow. Anyway, when your anchor positions become ineffective and you're forced to push off the site to go somewhere else, when you have those safe havens, like the main lobby, like the Sunrise Bar, and then you feel much more confident, and you're much more sure of the places you can play. And further, it opens up anchor positions within the site that typically are not playable because of your control of the angles. So that's really the star of the show for me in that round, was how SSG managed their off-site presence while not actually roaming above. You gotta love stuff like that. So well done to SSG. Good reaction, good control. Oxygen falling a little bit on those engagements off-site too. We saw Laxon get one pick by the main lobby. Other than that, not a lot of lethality, and he did quickly die right after. So well done to Oxygen for getting control above, but not much else for that round. Rampy with just a ridiculously cheeky run out there, and you lose vertical early for the second time in a row.
Oh boy, that is not how you want to start a round. What a perfect read from Rampy. And well, I feel like we've seen Oxygen do this actually, runouts, and they've taken early and aggressive fights before on this map. Mind you, we haven't seen them play it since Tokonami, as was pointed out by Jesse, but you can have that run out down by the mudroom and manage to get off a pick towards pool. It also looked like we were going to see the smoke of Fultz swing on Laxing, who was on repel by the hookah window. Not the case. Foxy doesn't lose any HP. No damage done. That's fine. Fultz obviously retreats. He's got a 25 HP less than I'm sure he probably wants, but other than that, SSG are in a much better position. Their stack up is pretty standard stuff. They still have Rampy playing God knows where, but the rest of the team is all close enough to be able to get to the site if need be. Canadian is off inside of Penthouse. He's going to go on to Cam, and he knows he's relatively safe from that position with Rampy backing him up over by 90. Meanwhile, OXG's take is going to come from the hookah balcony, and they're going to go on repel. Laxing has now maneuvered from his spot, and well, he's going to go over towards billiards.
A lot of waiting going on here for SSG. Yes, they've taken some damage on Fultz, but I mean, you got vertical, so that's really what matters most. Oh, the plan seems to be a hookah execution here for Oxygen. Rampy gets Foxy though. The man count sways ever further in SSG's favor. Barbed wire will prompt the peek. Fultz gets the easy kill. No real challenge there. The shotgun's going to win at that range. If you're smacking the barbed wire, you're within death. And well, it's been presented now for Oxygen. They don't seem to have anything going for them in this round. You can see Biologic just desperately pre-firing every possible angle, hoping for a free pick to be given his way, and none presented by SSG. Everything continues to slow down.
I mean, what do you do? How do you bail yourself out here? Laxing was great in a post plant, but he's going to get leveled on the Cool Vibe stairs to Fultz and Biologic in a 1v5. Another flawless round on the board? Maybe. Oxygen just had one 2 rounds ago. 3 rounds before that, SSG had one. Biologic's going to hit the reset. So his team's going to chat. We're going to take 15 seconds, give or take. SSG's going to go on a match point. And what has honestly been a very oddly paced map so far between these teams. These rounds have been kind of either really quick action or dragged out over the span of 3 full minutes. Space Station likely understand that Bio's not going to give them anything. This is as close to a tactical timeout as you're going to get. Match point for Space Station on OXG's map.
You could tell Fultz on blue stairs was like, okay, when he got that second kill onto Laxing. I mean, those are some really easy kills with that shotgun at that range. It's just about as one-sided a fight as you're going to get. Double bar, next site for SSG. That last round, what is there really to talk about? I mean, for the most part, it was Oxygen setting up, guns lined for Hookah, right? Like, okay, we're going to take Hookah. We're gonna push in, take the site, maybe use the Capitao to cut off some lines of sight and just execute. But all the while, Oxygen is setting up. SSG is getting aggressive. Fights are going SSG's way, one after another. Oxygen's making foolhardy pushes up the blue stairs and getting punished for it. I mean, basically everything doesn't work for Oxygen. It was very uncomfortable, honestly, to watch. And I think that's good awareness on SSG, not letting their opponents set up on them in the first place. And that's it. That's the end of that story. Well played to SSG for the aggression. It worked.
All right, I wonder what OXG is going to try to do to turn this tide here. We talked about a 4-2 scoreline being very possible on both sides. If that's the case, OXG needs to win the next 2 rounds and push us to overtime, at which Space Station will be on defense twice. Oxygen only once. Obviously bodes well for Oxygen, given what we see of the trend line with attackers being very favored here on this map. It does seem like there was a bit of a stumble on SSG's side when transitioning over to defense, and they seemingly found their footing. A big part of that and a huge component has been this mirror play and Bosco being able to anchor down parts of the map while giving calls to the rest of his team. It didn't work well in the very first double bar defense, but the second time on this bomb site after you've won Kitchen and Hookah, you don't really have a lot of options. Canadian guns down Biologic, but Vertical is there, so you've at least got 2, but the thing is that the diffuser surrendered inside of Office will now need to be retrieved by somebody who is probably not Vertical. I would be very surprised if the Ash is the one who's going to try to get this diffuser down. Still, Oxygen's positioned over by that Office, and Slash will come to the rescue.
Also, the hard destruction lost now, so the Office wall going to need to be opened up on the left side where it's not reinforced. Bosco, though, is plenty happy for that, as he's using a mirror window to deny that angle. Down goes your Ash as Vertical attempts to entry there, and the engagements continue to go in SSG's favor. That one not even a 1-for-1, but just a straight free kill for the defense. Bosco's got a really cheeky angle there to use. You can see that the awareness here on SSG is abundant. Rampy knows exactly where to shoot through the floor. Laxing will get Fultz, though, so a bounce back of sorts for Oxygen as Laxing rotates to Kitchen, and this is somehow not relayed to Thinking Nate, who is caught unawares and belly on the floor, eliminated. Bosco incurring a lot of damage there, also not going to bode well, as he's actually the last one alive. Once again, it's Laxing to the rescue for Oxygen. So Bosco now has to fight against full HP players, 3 of them, in order to salvage this round for his team.
He is the clutch master on this squad. You mentioned it earlier, but this is not the spot you want to be in, especially not as a Mira. And he's already used his C4. He flubbed it, hit the roof of the blue bar. Slash going for the plant, the positioning of Laxing given away, but barely a dent done to the Jackal. This is obviously bad for Bosco, given that he's on 1 HP, and will now need to get that diffuser. He won't be able to do that, though, because Foxe pops up inside of the position where Bosco was playing out of the most. Sunrise bar. Down goes the Mira. We're going to go to round 12. This is close. Oxygen needs to win this one to send us to overtime.
What an interesting round. That, by all means, was an SSG round. The way that it started off, getting rid of the hard destructor, meant that the angle that would have been beneficial to Oxygen when the entering in from Office to blue bar was nullified. It was done. The thermite wouldn't open the wall. So the other angle, the alternative, was Ash opening up the wall with an Ash charge. One of those walls was soft. However, that was a bait. SSG wanted that. You could tell Bosco was really happy about that. He managed to get the pick onto Vertical as he entered the site through the gap between the blue bar and the bomb chassis. Well done to Bosco for that. But following that, Laxing swooping in main lobby, kitchen area. That's the real key to that round. That's how Oxygen managed to salvage things. Just Laxing, dragging out. And also, some really odd positioning from SSG. Thinking Nade, for example, was prone by the Sunrise bar, completely exposed to kitchen, and this is after Laxing gets a kill by either the main lobby or the kitchen area. That must have been relayed, and I'm amazed if it wasn't. So either that's got to be, I guess, Thinking Nade not hearing the relay, and he's another easy kill for Oxygen as they made the recovery in that round. Such a strange series of events, Parker.
Laxing has been excellent at finding these openings and just pressing them. And I think it's pressure points is the word that or rather the phrase I would use. It's that you hit the pressure points. You know exactly where it is. Laxing always plays this weird style. SSG has boasted before that they know how to read into it and they're prepared to deal with it. In this case, through now 3 specific rounds on attack, Laxing has proved that that is not the case. So he's able to exploit the fact that Space Station doesn't have their eyes on the prize, especially in the parts of the map where you are least expecting your nemesis to come from. Another big round from Laxing will almost assuredly bode well for OXG and push us towards that fabled overtime between these squads. Regardless, the fact that it is overtime on OXG's map isn't exactly the best circumstances that they want to be starting off on. Or rather, if they go to overtime. Because SSG still is in a position where they could win this one out before it goes to OT.
Wants it back. I don't know if he's going to get it, though. Someone is already pressuring him from mud. He will get it. All right, C4 retrieved for Rampy. I'll give him a little bit more utility moving forward. Is he actually he's gonna continue to try and hold on to Sunrise. So Rampy stubbornly digging his heels in and holding on to this position. He's got a good rotation that's going to allow him some versatility from this hold.
Is that blue bar door barricaded? That's the question I want to know.
Yeah, that is a good question. If it's barricaded, he will have some information. Yes. There you go.
Yes. There goes the Nitro Cell. Biologic avoids it. Capitao arrow goes. If you're Oxygen, you're going to have to be very quick. They do get Rampy finally, but it was about a minute of them trying to do that. They get map control because of it, but he wasted a lot of time. He wasted a fair amount of utility. So you, if you're SSG, know whereabouts they're coming from. This is as good of a spot as you want to be in.
Ooh. Position exposed, and Fultz, he knew it, so he crouched. He would have died had he not crouched there. Biologic was well aware of the angle. So good awareness from both players, but equally they both walk away unscathed. And, well, nothing gained, nothing lost. So life moves on. The continued push from the Sunrise bar is in force here for Oxygen. They're going to need to add another angle to this attack. I'm surprised they're not going for kitchen window. Biologic's actually just going to rush into the site. This is truly curious. Z makes it all the way in. He'll actually fake and then get off the plant. That was the wrong call. So he'll attempt plant number 2, but this time he's downed by Canadian from above. Fultz will get slash as well. Z's just challenging from in the site. Foxay lands a nade on one of the anchors. That's the smoke deep in sight, and will manage to get Fultz as well as he pushes in from service entrance. Thinking Nade and Canadian now the last 2 defenders, but this should be an easy denial for Thinking Nade. There's no one to cover. Good awareness there from Vertical to get off the plant. He needs to plant somewhere where Canadian can't spot him, and that's not easy to find. There's only one player to cover. It's Laxing. Will he hit the heads-up shot? Yes! Beautiful job to Laxing, narrowly saving that round on 000.
That was heartbreaking for SSG and amazing for Oxygen at the same time. So well done. Vertical trying to make the call happen, knowing that he was vulnerable to that wall. Man, it's funny because Laxing wasn't even on the tips of our tongue for the entirety of that final push. He was somebody who was so influential at the start to try and get Rampy out of Sunrise Bar, and then he just disappears. He fades into the background, as Laxing does. And then when you're least expecting it, pow, he strikes to your heart, and he's there to shut down any chance of a comeback. And just like that, 2-4-2 score lines on both halves propel us to overtime. SSG on defense, so they will continue on the side they were just on. Every single bomb site is open because it's overtime. Hookah will be on the menu. Now, Hookah was only defended a single time by SSG, but they won it. That's an okay track record. But Oxygen are going to be hyped up after that. And honestly, the story of OXG Michael, Laxing. Every single round that Oxygen won on attack, Laxing had a massive performance in all 4 of those rounds. He was quiet in the other 2. If Laxing shows up on attack, OXG is going to win this map. That's how it's looked so far. I imagine it will continue to move in that direction.
Foxay also had a big performance in that last round in particular. He entered in through the service entrance, and he was a big reason why there was any plant attempt at all, following the failed one from Bio by default safe plant spot, I guess. I guess we call it cubby? What would you call that, Parker? On top of the shelf, where you'll typically plant if you're going for an extended push.
I'm okay with cubby, Michael.
I like cubby. Now, we've seen a lot of real amazing rounds from Foxay, Laxing, Fultz, Rampy, and Bosco. I mean, really a lot of players in this match, but we've equally had some players that have yet to really show up, and ones that have fallen a little bit silent. Vertical in particular. Vertical's been playing fairly well, and to be fair, in that last round, he had a huge performance. He managed to get the plant, But he did it in a really precarious position that almost cost his team the round. If Canadian had landed his shots, he would have died, and it would have been an SSG round. So that was very scary. But at the same time, he hasn't been performing as well as he had been earlier in the first half of this match.
I mean, you could say the same thing about Laxing on defense, right? If we're going to talk about Laxing, he had a poor defensive performance, great on attacking half. Rampy, excellent performance on attack, on defense.
A little bit of a switcheroo with some of these players, yeah. Get Laxing on the C7E. That's what we have learned here today.
Fultz has been just a touch bit better, I guess. He was 8-1 on attack through those first 6 rounds, and since then he's gone 6-6. So, I mean, obviously not ideal, but at least he's maintaining a KD of 1 and trading himself out. I don't really think you can ask for more, given the way that some of these rounds have just been very much dominated by Oxygen. So, as we go through and contextualize the previous 12 rounds, Oxygen's all the way down inside a Sunrise bar. I don't know if they've droned out Canadian playing inside a blue bar.
Doubt it. It looks like he's completely unknown.
And there's a soft wall right next to him. As the opening pick goes to Foxay, his grenades have been excellent. He finds Thinking Nade. Foxay another, this time onto Fultz. Canadian takes down Vertical and immediately onto Slash. He'll equalize and get the hell out of Dodge as he heads through office.
Could you imagine?
That is a big blow to OXG.
Could you imagine if they had droned out Canadian on the blue bar? What a different round this might be. But here comes the attempted plant regardless. It'll be denied by Rampy, who's still playing by Vase. He's still playing by Vase, by the way, because 2 players who would have taken control of Vase were killed below because of a lack of droning. Laxing will see the barrel of the Maestro, but not shoot him. He'll get him on the follow-up, though. Good job to Laxing. In this 2v2, though, the pre-fire from the Vigil of Rampy will get the win. Laxing goes down. All pressure on Foxay's shoulders. He has to find 2 players. One still with the C4. Information being called out on Foxay's position. He'll attempt to plant. Very little chance that this will be successful. Rampy coming from the blue stairs. He'll try to deny. He'll be successful in pushing Foxay off the plant attempt. And that's it. Round over. No chance for Foxay, as he will be swept up quite easily by Canadian, who undoubtedly is the hero to that round.
That was major negligence on behalf of OXG, and for a team that has been so good and as well connected as SSG or OXG has, rather, you can't make those level of mistakes. And that's not the kind of gameplay that we see out of an OXG team that has been so good in North America this season. They really did have a lot going for them. They got those first 2 picks. Canadian does answer back down below, and you pointed it out perfectly. A big part of why that plant did not go down and why Rampy was in that position was because nobody from OXG could try to pressure Cool Vibe stairs, which is where Rampy was playing. There was nobody downstairs that could rotate up to possibly play on the balcony or on rappel. There's nobody that could have bothered to just stay down there other than Laxing, and I don't think that's where Laxing intended to be, though he did do a good job in the spot he was in, taking out Bosco and then trying to get Rampy on Cool Vibe stairs. And it came down to the fact that you lost both Vertical and Slash. You lost Ash and her utility, you lost Zofia and her utility. And I know that they're not, or Ash in particular is not an operator that's well known and defined by the flashbangs and the breaching rounds, but they are incredibly important in this meta, especially when you know that there's a Maestro on the board, especially when you know that bulletproof cameras are coming, especially when you have to deal with burning out the ADSs and all that. You need to clear that way. OXG unfortunately lost 2 of the best operators that they had at their disposal, and with it they lost the pushing power they could have on the Cool Vibes and the control that they could establish out on Hookah Balcony. So, made it much more difficult for them to be able to pull it off, and then they also would have had to re-drone Canadian after he left from Blue Bar. That's a lot of things for them to try to accomplish in a short period of time, and they just ultimately couldn't do it.
Such a small mistake to have such a catastrophic effect on not only the round, but the match as a whole. I mean, we're looking at a 7-6 SSG when I think I can confidently say, had they droned out Canadian, this would be a 7-6 Oxygen right now. And yet, that is exactly what we expected in this match. I think going into it, we expected it to be very close. We saw that in the first time these teams matched up. Vertical might go for this run out. He will. And down goes Bosco. Very easy kill there for Vertical. He'll make it back to this site nice and easy as well. He'll even have the luxury of re-barricading the door. Anyway, that's half of your soft destruction gone in that buck. And the vertical pressure now shifts primarily to Canadian, who will have to open up as soon as the roam clear is finished. He's going back upstairs.
It's a good spot for him to play in.
He wants the fights.
He wants the fights. He's the doc. He's a perfect 10 and 10 right now. So
10 out of 10.
He's 10 out of 10. There you go. That's 10 times 10's 100. 100 emoji. That's vertical right there. 100
Exactly.
emoji. There you go. There's your content for the day. All right, droning upstairs inside the luggage. They'll spot the Jaeger. 2 drones positioned in that particular area. Bosco can watch one of them because he's dead, and that will be his job. Instead, Laxing is now headed downstairs, playing at the bottom of the main stairs with Vertical at his side. 3 stim pistols still available for Oxygen, so they've got some sustain if they need it. OXG hasn't a single scratch on them just yet. But by falling off and Vertical and Laxing retreating to that lobby, it's allowed Space Station to commandeer the penthouse, the theater, and rotate as need be. This is a kitchen defense, need we remind you, for Oxygen.
So the Vertical will play in as soon as Canadian gets above, and you can hear his hammer, even see it, opening up various holes on the top floor. Most important holes first, above reception, drop down open, in storage room. Rampy gets Vertical, who had been running out from the front door. Well, we said he wanted those fights, and he got the fight, but it didn't go the way that he wanted. So Vertical gone. Rampy did take some damage from that, though, as he'll get another kill on somebody running out the front door, maybe? I assume that was another player trying to run out front door. I can't imagine where else that fight would have taken place. Laxing will do some damage there. Biologic finishes off Fultz, who had been running back to office. Good awareness to Oxygen on the blue bar. Likely a Valkyrie cam. A little bit of irony as Fultz is the one felled there. Not certain it's a Valkyrie cam, of course, but it's just likely. We're getting very close to the end of this round as Rampy gets his 3rd kill onto Slash. Once again, a fight in the main lobby. It almost looks like he might be the only reason SSG is going to take this round. He's just been winning fights one after another. Surface entrance push, attempted plant. Strangely, Biologic does not see the planter. He will get Rampy on the floor, though. Biologic has been downed. It's all on Laxing to deny this plant, and he'll be able to do so. No coverage from SSG, and Oxygen take another round. We go to 7-7.
Bunch of mistakes being committed from SSG on this bomb site. And I mean, we look at what happened in the previous round with OXG failing to drone out SSG, and the similar thing happens here. Laxing is playing in an area where they can't pin him down. They have control of service. The Valkyrie is down. Where is the sledge? Why is the sledge not watching in that area? Well, it seemed to me that the sledge was upstairs, was it? And then had to drop down to try to protect, thinking they didn't really have enough time. And it's a tough spot to be in. Even if you're trying to plant by the reinforced wall, you're still vulnerable to that play from the Jaeger, who can just shoot away at your Achilles heel. A coin toss in the final 10 seconds on that round, and one that leaves you kind of scratching your head, as I imagine with these teams that the comms are absolute chaos right now. We don't know if you'd agree with me, but it certainly seems like these teams are really struggling on how all out these attacks are. You go back and you look at when Vertical was trying to plant in 4 different spots on Kitchen and Laxing covered him perfectly. That shouldn't have been OXG's round. It was. That previous round shouldn't have been OXG's round. It was. Space Station is going to be kicking themselves over the small mistakes that they've made, just as I'm sure OXG will be. But the story of this Coastline right now, I know that for fans of Oxygen, it might not be something they want to hear. But through and through, this could have been SSG's map many times now. I don't know if I can say the same thing for Oxygen. Doesn't really matter. Little mistakes are little mistakes. You have to reset. You have to look towards Villa for obviously a better result for whichever team ends up losing here. But it's going to be a shootout on the double bars for Space Station. This has not been a good bomb site at all for any team, actually. So far, it's been played 3 times. 0 win rate on defense.
Well, to be fair to Oxygen, I think that there's been a fair amount of mistakes on both sides. Oxygen and SSG alike. For example, recall the 13th round where Canadian is just chilling by blue bar. Easy double piece for him. Lock up that round. I mean, we'd be done right now. If they just drone him out, we'd be done. If we're tweaking little factors here and there, then we could change a lot of things to get a very different result. And I think that this plays into the same narrative that we were trying to, I guess, spell out in the lead into this match, which is, yeah, it's going to be close. It's going to be dirty. And it's going to be a lot like match number 1. So far, it has been. We've seen a lot of strange occurrences across the board here. And I, for one, am if nothing else, intrigued by what we've been witnessing.
I mean, I hate to be that guy, but if that nitro cell actually works on the carpet, Canadian
that one,
very
yeah.
easily sees the planter, kills him. This match should have been over. You know, like I said, I would have been tilted beyond belief at that one.
I would have too, yeah.
And you know that everything went right, except for the C4 just didn't work at all. So that is a tough one. And like I said, it probably should have gone in SSG's favor anyway.
I saw a conversation about that, and I believe it was Sov saw. It was a conversation between Lycan and Sov, and they're like, "Whose strat was that? The C4 missing, or the C4 not missing, but the C4 not destroying the carpet?" Sov said, "If it doesn't work, it's mine." So I guess that Sov is to blame for that carpet not getting destroyed.
First kill is going to go to Canadian. You can hear the Oryx doing good work. Tries to do more onto Slash, who immediately pivots towards Cool Vibe Stairs after taking the head off of Canadian. He'll go right back onto Drone. He's over the bomb site, so he's vulnerable if there's a C4 and is only on 35 HP, give or take. He seems to be getting thwarted for now from the Mute Jammer. And a frag grenade will drop onto the stairs, or rather a grenade impacted on the stairs from the Zofia. There goes one of those proximity concussions, trying to flush out Thinking Nade. SSG has fallen so far back, and they'll just watch towards Mudroom. Down goes Vertical, as Rampy gets the kill for SSG. Biologic in default spot. He'll need to go for the plant. Can they stop him is the real question. Trying to find a comfortable angle so he can plant, but Laxing isn't even on our screens. Where is the Jackal? That's the question. Down goes that diffuser, surrendered, an immediate push up. Laxing falls, and it's almost a flawless round so far for SSG. They lost Canadian, but they trade his life for Slash Hug above, and he'll be stopped on Cool Vibe Stairs. It was close and scary for both teams. No doubt an exhausting matchup, but by a score of 8-7, SSG takes Coastline and takes OXG's map.
Very weird map for both teams, to be sure. Very strange. Lots of odd mistakes made by both squads. In that last round in particular, Oxygen locked up. They had a lot of options. They had a lot of choice. Ultimately, they gave SSG a series of 1v1s, and that cost them the round. I mean, there's not much else to say. There was an easy push in there through mud into default plant. You could just bolster all your guns up, cover. The Vertical was in there. Slash was above. He could have denied, but it's just a weird series of events, ultimately, culminating in the success for SSG. But that's it for map number 1. We're going to toss to a break before the analysts come back and discuss it.
Welcome back. I'm Jackie Jing with Velly and Jesse, and Map 1 Coastline going to SSG defeating OXG. 15-rounder overtime. Oh my gosh, that was fun to watch. But man, OXG, let's start with them, Jesse. Round 13 in particular, not droning out Canadian. You know, Kix said, you know, this is a major mistake. I know OXG fought hard, but that was for sure a momentum killer.
100%. Like, that was a big turning point, I think, in this game. It really did shut down the momentum of Oxygen. And it's just like, it's something that should be so basic. It was a mute, you know, there was a visual on the board as well, so clearly, like, droning is not the easiest thing there, but you've got to be able to find those roamers. There's got to be some sort of a count on where those players are at. It's a very high-tense situation. I'm not gonna, like, rag on them too hard because that's, like, so difficult and so tense, but that really was a tough one to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Velly, I'm excited to pick your brain about this one. In Taro calling you out when you were touting Laxine, then we saw round 7 and Laxine lighting up with that 4K, and that was really just the beginning. I know they didn't get this map, but in my opinion, he was MVP easily, and I know you were smiling about that, Billy.
All right, first off, let me be the first to say shout out to Parker and Taro. I like your flannel shirt. You look like a cute Canadian lumberjack. But let me just say one thing, buddy. All right, you've been in Siege way longer than me, but I'm going to have to keep it real. Laxing played lights out, and arguably, Laxing, along with Foxe and, you know, some kills here and there by Vern these rounds that were efficient, kept them in the game. Slash wasn't having a great time, Bao wasn't having a great time, but you know who did? It was Laxing. Now, that play where he was Skylight, got a 4K, came downstairs and helped Fox vertical with the plant, that was incredible. I think it was Fox with the plant. I'm sorry about that. But like I said, you know what? Thinkinade and Lax, to me, are the top 2 flank marchers in the A, and that game showed why. Laxing plays the most ridiculous spots to where he's able to hunt down everybody that's rotating, and every kill he has makes such a difference. But the thing I like most about him is just his patience. He will stay in the spot forever. Nobody stays on Skylight that late in the round. When that happens, you're like, yo, what is this guy doing? Laxing does it, and he wins games that way. You gotta love it.
Like, watching Laxing play is one of the best things, I think, in the world. It's like eating peanut butter out of the jar at 1 a.m., right? There's nothing better.
No, for real.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
You've never done it before?
No,
What are you?
I was playing with Jesse yesterday, and I was eating peanut butter out of the jar, so he was throwing me a little bit of shade there. But no question. I mean, he struggled a little bit at the beginning, Laxing did, and then he just, oh my gosh, came out beautifully. It was wonderful to watch. We'll have to see what he does on map 2. But I do kind of want to switch gears and talk about SSG a little bit, Jesse. SSG was shutting down solo roamers well, and OXG's roaming struts seem kind of questionable to me. Talk to me about roaming on this map in general.
Yeah, I mean, this was touched upon, I think, by Kix, like, early on in this map, and I think this is a big reason why we saw the first half go 4-2, is because, especially in those, like round 3, round 4, we did see a lot of that solo roaming coming in. You know, it'd be Foxe all on his lonesome, it'd be Vertical all by himself, and the droning was really important from Space Station to come on in. The buddy system is, you know, commonly used on a lot of maps. It's not 100% always teams will go for that style of a roam, and solo roams work sometimes, but I think generally, you know, they are pretty weak to having really great roam or drone strategies. So when you're up against a team like Space Station, who are known for having ridiculously good drones, when they're bringing Jackal every now and again as well to really hunt you down, I think you got to be playing something a little bit more complex, you know, and give yourself a couple more escape routes if you're going to be in those sorts of situations, because I think dying early on the roam was a problem early on in this map for Oxygen.
And, you know, we were talking about SSG's success. Velly, I want to talk to you about Bosco specifically.
Yes.
His vertical play, he was getting some kills, opening up plays for his team, and I know you really liked what you saw there, so.
I didn't like what I saw. I loved what I saw. And touching up on something that Jesse was talking about, you know, yeah, Fultz and Rampy, they did a fantastic job getting these kills, but that was a big part to Buck that was opening up things as Bosco. Bosco was the initiator. The fact that he was with Buck and provided all types of vertical play, it was like, for example, there was a specific round where Laxing was in bathroom as visual, right? You had Rampy at the door with Ash holding onto an angle, and he was staying put, and I was saying to myself, why is he just waiting there? Why isn't he going in for the challenge? It's a one-on-one. It's a good 50-50 to take, right?
Yeah.
Now, up above was Bosco, the man himself. He was able to use his skeleton keys to shoot down, and they were able to secure the easy kill. That's the type of gameplay that SSG brings to the table, that slow, methodical thinking to shut down elite players like that.
I think there were a couple really key players on Space Station for sure. Like, you can see Rampy on your screen now, 18 and 8. That's a ridiculous stat line.
Yeah.
And we've already seen him come back a little bit, but I was really impressed by Fultz again, you know, the Wonder Boy from last season. He started off a little bit weak, but he's definitely back in the groove now. So, you know, we've seen him perform well in previous weeks, but it's nice to affirm that again.
For sure. And gentlemen, we have our community poll result in.
Okay.
And the question was, who will have the best post-match tweet? I want to know what y'all think, actually, for that one. I think OXG. I mean, Canadian has some great ones, but Laxian and Foxay, I don't know. They kill it on Twitter.
I will say this.
my humble
Canadian
opinion.
does have amazing post-game tweets.
Yes,
But mostly against
that's
Dark
true.
Zero, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to hear Vertical go off or Thinking Nate, some of the quieter guys. But anyway, I digress. The results were 44% for Oxygen, 55% for SSG. So thank you so much for participating in the community poll, everybody. But now I want to hear what y'all think about Map 2. How's that going down? I will start with Big Brain. Big Brain Jesse.
We're headed to Villa. Obviously, that first map was a little bit of a curveball because we hadn't seen Oxygen play it in a long time. So I think they brought out some new stuff through Space Station off a little bit. This should be a better map for Space Station, and honestly, it doesn't look great for Oxygen heading into this one. It was Space Station's pick. They're known to be quite good on Villa in the past. I would give them the edge, I'd say, here.
So you're flipping?
Well, I didn't
One of
say
the other
that yet. But yeah, I will be when we get to that. Yeah.
Okay. Valley, what about you?
Oh, Space Station, that's not that changing to Jackie. I'm rolling with the champs. They got it all in the bag. I believe they're going to come out on top.
All right, well, I cannot wait to see Map 2, as Jesse just said, on Villa. So, all right, let's start at the break. We'll be back in a little bit. Do not go anywhere.
Here we go now.
It was a tense first map between Oxygen and Space Station, and after 15 rounds, the whole distance, SSG manages to eke out a small victory. So now we turn our sights to Villa, Michael, for map number 2. It's Space Station's pick, and while both of these teams have played this map so far, we can't say the same about Coastline. What are you expecting here on Villa? Obviously very different from Coastline. What do you think the changes that these teams are going to make are?
I mean, obviously, we talked about this in the lead-ins. Vill's a little bit more of a structured map. Going into this, I definitely expect it to favor SSG ever so slightly. I think this plays to their strengths. I think that there's going to be less required adaptation for Space Station, even though that is the thing that they excel at the most. They also looked really comfortable against DZ on Villa. Let's not forget that while both these teams have played this map and won it, Space Station won it against DG, whereas Oxygen won it, I believe, against Disrupt. Yeah, against Disrupt. So these are different stories, and these stats are slightly different as a result. But we'll let the match actually do the talking for itself as we get into the ban phase. Oxygen will be starting this off as they are on defense.
We were remarking how, or rather a point of discussion on that Coastline match was the 4 operators that were banned were so different.
Yeah.
Oxygen's going to be starting on defense, by the way, for every map today. We see Nomad banned out. Hibana joins her. So already a small change. And a hard breacher was brought a number of times by Oxygen on Coastline. You're going to need a Maverick or a Thermite every single round here. The bans from, well, SSG, they're going to ban the Pulse. That's a direct counter to Fox A, who loves that operator on this map and is able to usually play downstairs, play in the basement, and give so much intel. SSG also inflicting a little bit of damage on their part. Oxygen reading into the Valkyrie plays that were seen in both Coastline and on previous Villa matches, and they will take out the Valk. Nomad, Hibana, Pulse, and Valk, well, that leaves Echo still up. And I don't know if people saw this, but there was some chatter on Twitter between the Sonics and Disrupt saying that they have agreed to mutually avoid using Echo. So they don't need to ban him.
Really?
Nobody's going to play him. It's a gentleman's agreement.
Between who? The Sonics and
Disrupt.
Huh. Interesting. I actually never thought that would come to pass. It's actually been discussed at length. There's been conversations about mutual agreements and gentlemen's agreements and all that such. And usually when they come up, they're typically dismissed. Most teams want to win more than they want to let that kind of thing slide. I'm curious if it'll hold up. Really am. Those don't happen very often in Siege.
I can't imagine they would just change it midway through.
No, I mean, of course, I don't think it will be disrupted like that. I want to watch, Parker. I just want to see. That's all.
The good news is, Michael, is that we'll be able to watch it.
What? Really? Where,
Really?
Parker? Where and when?
I believe it's going to be on this channel, twitch.tv/Rainbow6. It will be casted by Blue and Stokes at the conclusion of this exciting matchup.
Oh my gosh. That
The
sounds like
winner
a banger.
of that match, by the way, will play in the North American qualifiers for the NA Major. So,
What?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Crazy is that, man?
That is awesome. Yo, I'm very excited for that, Parker.
It's wild, isn't it?
It is. Absolutely bonkers.
Well, before we get there, we have at least one map, maybe two. Space Station's game plan, avoid carpets for this entire match.
Yes, I'm sure that they are going to diligently avoid the plethora of carpets.
Also digitally avoid them.
Strewn all over the forum.
Also digitally, because they're...
Yes. They are digital. Yes, Parker.
I think it's kind of strange that Villa, by the way, is the same carpet. Like, it's the same carpet that's just, like, they liked it so much, they're like, let's just use the same carpet in every room.
Well, actually, this house was being flipped, and the people who were flipping it didn't actually want to invest too much in it, but they wanted it to seem much nicer than it actually is.
So there's a different carpet.
Yeah, they went in and they bought a lot of really cheap carpets that look expensive.
Got it.
Yeah.
You know, that makes a lot of sense, you know, playing House Flipper. But I was going to say, you know, such opulence, such ostentatiousness.
Those statues are actually fake.
They can't even get multiple carpets. Ubisoft, please fix this. Anyway.
The paintings
Defense
are
is
all
downstairs on kitchen as we now look about halfway through round number 1.
The taxidermy. It's all lies. SSG are opening up from above, and look at that. The carpets are breaking. Parker, this is unprecedented.
Would you say it's groundbreaking?
Yeah.
Oh!
Yeah, I would say that.
But also, yes, it was groundbreaking. Oh, look, those are the same carpets.
Oh, yeah,
you really
surprise.
do notice it. Sorry to break your immersion.
Now you can't unsee it, guys. And gals. You're welcome.
There goes an exothermic charge. Did they get it?
Yeah,
no,
they got the
exothermic
jammer.
charge will get the wall off.
Oh.
Open up. A bomb site is now the target. Slash has fallen back to watch that angle, and he shot out the floor as well. He's in a good spot. But he's going to wrestle with the Zofia from above, and Fultz is walking away. Worse from where? No damage done to Oxygen yet. The opening pick of map number 2 is going to come to Rampy. Of course, it's Rampy. He takes out Slash after Fultz had failed to do any significant damage. So survey just off bomb site before you can push on in and find yourself in a better position with 30 seconds left.
Bosco with a good entry there from his gadget. He'll detect Fox A inside of Kitchen, and now he's aware of what he needs to challenge. You can see all the drones coming into the site. The nade will go to Kitchen, but Fultz is the one to land the shot onto Fox A. Biologic, Laxing, and Vertical, the last 3 defenders, but they have no control over their site. Canadian should be able to go for a plant play shortly. It's not going to matter, though, in the end, as it's just Laxing, and I don't think he's going to be able to deny the plant. Of course, the ceiling above him, hard, so he'll have to retake from the staircase or just wait. It looks like he's going to choose the latter option. For those of you who are unaware, there are no tactical timeouts in competitive Siege, so...
Hold on. Go back downstairs.
What's up?
The carpets!
Yeah, it's more of the same.
How many of them are there in this map?
I told you, Parker, they just bought a lot of the same cheap carpets. I mean, it's better than, like, you know, investing in years and years.
If I was an interior
them.
designer, they would get a solid C+ on their interior home score.
They're literally everywhere. Can we count them? Wait, okay, basement first. Basement first.
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There could be one more actually in the south.
9, 10, 11. No. There's about 11 or 12, 9, something like that. Yeah. It's like 9, 10, or 11.
I'd say it's a little bit higher. It's probably like around 14. I didn't get an accurate
That's a lot
count.
of carpets. They obviously went to a wholesaler.
Well, the same exact carpet. A lot of the same one.
They're like, hey, yeah, I like that carpet's so nice. How many do you want?
Carpets aren't glass.
12?
You can't
We'll take 12.
You can't just cut them all from the same sheen and then just do the same carpet everywhere. You gotta get a little variety.
These people just came in and they bought 12 of the same carpet.
Well, like I said,
I don't
they're just
even
trying
know what to do.
They're trying to flip the house, you know? They're not trying to live in it. Anyway, that round, the vertical destruction from SSG, they did a really good job of pushing the anchors around and bullying them. And then when the execution came, yes, it came late, but at that point, the man count was so drastically in SSG's favor, there was almost no chance in Oxygen taking it. And because the carpets were destructible this time, SSG did a great job with their top-down presence.
I was going to say, that a lot of that was played out on that second floor, right?
Yeah.
I didn't see really much of a fight from OXG to take that second floor once SSG had established themselves, and
you know,
SSG just pushed and they pushed and they pushed and they took advantage, and then they dropped, and then they had a Zofia, and then they had a Buck, and they were doing great work, and everything was breaking, and then that was it.
You know what I find interesting, Parker? We just went to Kitchen, and we're going to Kitchen again.
I mean, that was essentially a flawless round, right?
Right. No, it was. It was a really well executed
It
round.
technically was a flawless round because nobody from SSG died.
Yeah.
But it was well executed. The site work took a little bit longer than I think SSG wanted. OXG didn't really look like they... I honestly, I don't really know what OXG's defensive strategy was, because it didn't seem like they had a good lock on the bomb site, and then they didn't really have any good roam presence either.
They had a lot of downstairs presence.
Yeah, I was going to say, but it
didn't do anything.
Yeah, it didn't really do anything. And the comment that I would make is it's where you kind of, you know, you take half measures. You know, and it's like you're the jack of all trades but master of none. And well, that's a risky gamble from Vertical. It works. He's been trying to go for runouts or spawn peaks all day.
Yeah.
He hasn't exactly had the best run of it, but he finds Fultz. Space Station loses their first body. They lose the Zofia, and Zofia is so crucial, especially with Goyo on the board.
Canadian's just going to go into Memorial. This is high risk here. He'll hit a Legion trap and probably run out, right? Right, there's surely.
Yeah, there he goes.
Okay. I was a little worried.
The sound
there.
of those Legion traps, one of the loudest things on Earth. So they knew he was in there.
Yeah, they had to have expected the Thermite to be in there, and obviously Canadian won't be able to make a play off of that. Still roamers above, by the way, this time. Biologic will be posted up on the statuary door, looking to try and stop the push from the Master. Door gets opened up. That's smart there from Slash. I'm not sure if it was him who opened it, actually. It could have been Canadian for all we know, but it is smart to have that open as the defense in this kind of situation, because you're going to be aware that somebody pushes or vaults through the window. Nade goes in to get rid of the Goyo shield, and that's some control established on the top floor, but not full control just yet.
A fair amount, but more so than anything, that's information for the defenders as to where SSG is entering from. You look at the lineup from OXG, and they've got 3 C4s that are primed and ready for the 4 remaining members of Space Station. OXG seems to be doing a better job of holding closer to the bomb site now, and they don't really have to fear that same vertical presence with the Zofia removed. But they do have to be wary of the Sledge, who's just going to wreak havoc and master above. But Slash and Fox A's positions inside of both the A and B bomb sites, respectively, means that, well, the Sledge hasn't quite made it to that particular spot yet. C4 goes off, and it does not connect. You've also got another C4 that gets tossed up. Last one will go, and it'll also do a beautiful job. Excellent camera work as Fox A finds 2 kills. His team has a sizable advantage with only 15 seconds left on the clock. So great difficulty for Rampy and Bosco, as I think they realize the jig is up. Bosco is not able to drop. He gets shut down, and Rampy feeds Laxing a free kill. Just like on Coastline, these teams are going to go back and forth. Round 2 goes to OXG.
Well played to Oxygen there. The game plan was much clearer in that round. Ooh, shots fired as Rampy was staring at Laxing. I will say, though, to Rampy's defense here, because if Laxing's going to bring it up, I will interject. When you're playing close to an angle like that in Siege, perspective is really, really mean to you. Because he was so close to that angle, and because it was a top-down angle, it's likely that Rampy couldn't see Laxing as clearly as Laxing could see Rampy. So just keep that in mind, just because of Rampy's proximity to the angle itself, to the cover. I'm guessing that Laxing had a better line of sight. Anyway, moving on from that, the top floor clear was a dud. Part of that due to the fact that SSG did not commit fully to the top floor clear. There were still roamers on the south side of the building, specifically Biologic. And the C4s were much more effective that round. More importantly, the anchors were more effective. Foxe went wild in the bomb site, not only with his own C4, but just with his gun being alive. So, well done to Oxygen. Much more lethal than last round, or the last round in this case.
I got corrected, by the way. I was calling them carpets. They're rugs.
Yeah, you're right, because carpet is
actively knew.
wall-to-wall.
I knew that they were called rugs, by the way, and I was just calling them carpets, and I just rolled with it.
You know, it doesn't really matter.
And then I got a message being like, "They're rugs, you idiot." I was like, "Oh, yeah, you're right."
I mean, I was wrong too, Parker. I just rolled with it, so take solace in the fact. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's just the difference between wall-to-wall and like individual item.
Well, a carpet covers the whole floor. A rug is just a rug.
Yeah, wall to wall, and it's usually stamped to the floor.
So they were like, "They're not carpets, they're rugs, you idiot." Correct. I'm an idiot. That's correct.
It's okay though. They accomplish the same effect, and everyone knows what you mean.
Yes. Yeah. So, Oxygen's first defense over on Aviator. They obviously liked their kitchen defense much better, and they looked a lot sharper. Their roam game was significantly improved on that second round. And they also had the benefit, to be fair, of knowing how SSG was going to take the exterior sites before pressing into the bomb site. And it's fairly standard, though, when you know that you're defending kitchen, that people are going to be up top inside of trophy, statuary, and master as well. And yet, for whatever reason, Oxygen wasn't primed and ready, but Laxing is. He takes out Rampy. I think Fultz was trying to do his best to shut that one down, but just couldn't see him. That is a massive blunder for Space Station, and they surrender that first pick onto a very crucial operator in the Sledge.
That hole was made by Biologic earlier in the round with an impact grenade, and because it was a defensive made hole, no one from SSG should have stepped in front of it. That really should have been obvious for Space Station, and yet they lose Rampy to that angle. Unfortunate. He must have assumed one of his teammates made the hole, and that was poorly communicated. I can't imagine Rampy's willingly stepping in front of a defender hole if he knows it's a defender hole. Anyway,
yeah, that was a rough spot.
Yeah, life moves on. There's still a chance for SSG to take this one. They've got their heart destruction. They can open up steady, and it looks like they're rotating to do just that.
The one thing with the sledge dying is, number one, if there was anybody playing down below, you could find them a lot easier and just have those lines of sight opened up. But the way that you see the setup on Aviator, the sledge isn't integral to push the bomb site itself. The bomb sites are going to be mostly, if not all, reinforced off, so the sledge isn't going to be needed in that way. You're likely going to have the Zofia to take care of it too, if required. The one thing is that was your only set of frag grenades. That's the bigger worry, because Bosco is running smokes on the Yana. So if you're worried about Wamai and Jaeger being able to eat your devices, those smokes, which are likely done to conceal the plant, assuming that an execute is in mind for Space Station, you're going to have a lot more to cut through. That is a significant and sizable problem, not to mention the fact that Rampy is as good as he has been so far. Things go from bad to worse for Space Station as now the execute begins and it's swatted away by Vertical. Foxay falls to Fultz, but OXG are able to hold 1 to 2 angles quite easily. Fultz swings on the doorway, takes out Slash, and just like that, SSG in commanding position. Down goes Laxing, it's the Clash and the Jaeger left up. Vertical firing away, a desperate attempt to try to get into the bomb site as he'll now head through the vault, but Canadian gets the plant down, takes a little bit of damage, down goes Fultz to Vertical. Clutch opportunity for the Jaeger, he's got 2 kills, pre-fires towards the doorway. Bosco's going to have to make something work now, knowing that he's also got a Clash to deal with. Could he be isolated? Down on the diffuser is the Clash shooting away at the heel, trying to get the Jaeger out of his position. Does great work, but he'll have to rush in, and Bosco the clutch! You call him Bosco for a reason. What a play by Space Station. What a play by Bosco. And the round goes in favor of SSG.
Another round added to the tally of Bosco's clutches. That's, I believe, number 6 for him this season, and that puts him in first place squarely. Sloppy was sharing first place with Bosco before today. They both had 5 clutches between them, or not between them, actually 5 clutches each. And now Bosco ascends. Well played to him for taking that round. Geez, that really should have been an Oxygen round. So many unfortunate occurrences there for Oxygen. For example, Slasha getting aggressive on the west hallway door prevented Vertical from killing the Zofia. You could tell clearly how Vertical was trying to avoid shooting his teammate, and thus the Zofia is allowed later in the round to cover the aggression of Canadian and the plant. All he needed to do was stay alive on that position, and mission accomplished for Fultz. Now, that was very, very close for SSG. A real nail-biter. Could have gone towards Oxygen, should have gone towards Oxygen, really, based on what we were seeing earlier in the round. The delay work done on the north side of the building was great for Oxygen. They even got a pick off of it, thanks to Laxing and Biologic's hole. And then following that pick, delay continues. The attack shifts to a south take, a study take, and that's the craziest thing for me, Parker. SSG manages to pull off a study south side take with a minute. A minute. That's how much time they had to execute from that after they rotated. That's shockingly fast, as most teams take a full round to execute on that side of the map, and not so for Space Station.
All right, well, second time is a charm yet again. And the one thing I commended Oxygen on after that second round was that they were really able to shore things up, and they understood what their weaknesses were, and they corrected it, and they corrected it very well. It was a whole team effort, and they played perfectly on Kitchen the second time. All started off with Vertical getting that spawn peak, but then after that, the rest of the team reacted well. They got patient. That's not something that OXG is always known for. OXG likes to swing, they like to take gunfights, and oftentimes it works for them. You don't always need to do that, especially against a more patient team like SSG. It can mix together like oil and water. So for this defense, how is Oxygen going to play that? Well, the one big problem that they had on that previous round was holding Classical Hallway, the top of those stairs, all the way over to 90. That was their biggest weakness. They've stacked up Slash and Foxay in this spot. They've also realized the Clash was a good experiment, but not worth repeating. Instead, you're going to bring more intel and more information. You've got denial from the Mozzie, so you can really just kind of cover all your bases. And then not to mention the Wamai and the Jaeger. I like what Oxygen is bringing, and as long as they can hold on to this and not get pushed off too easily, then they might be able to hold off the push from over towards Classical should SSG want to attack from that part of the map.
Look at that. Half the round wasted, and Oxygen calls for the retreat from top main. They easily could have wasted more time. Don't you dare say he plays on a different team. But they didn't. They fell back. They played it smart. SSG will get the control at top main, but it costs them a lot of time and utility. regardless of the retreat there from Oxygen.
This is a setup and a beautiful play by Fultz, just watching that angle. A bit risky, and Slash has no idea that that's going to happen. So that opening pick for Space Station as they hold the lead. And that's rough losing your smoke. Slash, who has been hugely important for Oxygen, is having a rough Villa so far. There goes a grenade that'll deal some damage to Laxing, not that much. More pressing is the Tinnitus that he will have to shake off. And on Repel, he's going to take even more damage, or at least look like he did. He's still at about 75 HP, and he gets finished off by Rampy. Peekaboo! Dragged down to the depths of hell. 30 seconds left for Space Station to be able to pull off this execute. Oxygen needs to hold on. The one thing that works in Oxygen's favor is that they've only got a couple doorways, just like last time, to look at. But the problem was that it didn't really matter last time because SSG just won their gunfights. Canadian gets caught in a cross. Foxay over by the bar. He's good for 2 kills. Vertical with one of his own. More spam marks coming in. Foxay in this great position. 5 seconds left. And it's a down from Bosco. And then Bio cleans up on the thinking nade for the final kill. What a recovery from OXG. Masterfully done holding on to these angles. And Bio in particular. So good inside a vault.
Very, very well played there for Oxygen. The patience is the thing that really screams adaptation in that round. You could tell the last time Oxygen was defending on that side, they got a little overzealous, figured their advantage was insurmountable, peaked some things they really shouldn't have, and lost the round. In that round, Oxygen did one big thing different. They only half reinforced the Aviator wall. Now, that's important because when you only half reinforce that Aviator wall and you have somebody play it, it was Biologic in that round, that means there's no way for the enemy to hard destruct it. Ace is not in play right now. He's, I guess, in the waiting to be in play, I guess we call it. Just he's waiting. We give him time before we throw in the new operators to competitive. And then Habana, obviously, is banned. And then so you've got Thermite and Maverick. They both need to get right on the wall. And because there's somebody hard holding the game's wall, you're not going to be able to open it. As a result, SSG only has that one entry point. That's the west hallway. They can enter through the door or the wall that the Thermite will inevitably make. Because of that, we saw Foxay play in a corner of the bar that would have been exposed to the study breach. But again, no study breach. So he's safe to put his back up against the wall and then just be a turret slaughtering the attack as they attempt to push in through the west hallway. Well done to Oxygen, well done to Foxay. I love the adaptation, the way they left that one Aviator wall open. I will say that I think it would have left them exposed had SSG adapted to an Aviator take. However, SSG did not. Well done again to Oxygen.
Don't discredit Bio playing inside of that gun vault, though, because he can still cover the doorway if they push in from Study to Aviator. So in theory, I do agree with you, by the way. I want to get this out of the way. I do agree with you, but in theory, Bio still could have just mauled them all down as they tried to come in. So, who knows?
I mean,
Oxygen played that beautifully, though.
That's the real effect of it, right? It's a crossfire. So
yes,
it's rough no matter what if you're the attack.
Yes. So, upstairs to trophy statuary. Your eyes are not deceiving you. So far, the bomb site rotation for OXG has been double kitchen, double Aviator. Lose the first time you go somewhere, win it the second time. Does it break here on trophy statuary? And this is actually the second time, if I remember correctly, that a bomb site was open that had been won, but Oxygen was reluctant to go there. Clearly some theory being applied in regards to why you wouldn't go back to this bomb site. So, go back to a bomb site that worked. This time, there goes the wall. Biologic tries to stop it, doesn't do so successfully, and SSG now have an entryway into statuary from Master.
That breach will, I'm sure, pay off well for SSG. They've also got the closet wall open, which means they can control a push from bathroom. SSG's got their platform to assault the site. Gas canister's going very early. Shield dealt with inside of Astro. Vertical's feeling the pressure. He'll try to get the heck out of dodge, and he does, just barely. He really should have been caught on that retreat. There were plenty of opportunities for SSG to shut Vertical down, whether from the Astro repel on the rotation or the connector rotation as he crossed in front of the breach. But he survives, and thus the throwables and projectiles will be less effective for SSG through this round. An entry from the Yana effect is the Fultz getting into Astro. Because of that Yana giving away the position of the defenders, he's allowed to dictate the angle play.
Fultz could get a pick here if we see Slash push out unwisely, but no, there's Foxay. He takes down Fultz. So you can watch your back if you're Spencer Oliver. Slash Hug, as they call him. Bosco takes out Slash. There goes Biologic as well. A second from Bosco, who puts that ARX to good use. Canadian going for the plan. He's got the shield in front of him. Across being held really well by Bosco, but only 3 kills on the board, as Foxay will pick up his second, and SSG has the plant locked down. Diffuser at just under 40 seconds. Laxing will need to head on back. He just skates past a frag grenade, but he doesn't skate past Rampy. Right into him. A collision course. These two teams are incapable of winning rounds back-to-back. At worst, SSG will tie the first half as they're up 3-2.
Well done to Bosco, obviously. Not only getting the entry, but also successfully covering. And that was the difference maker for that round. As you guys could all, and gals could all see, clearly the defense did not have enough manpower to retake their own bomb site. The Roamer, of course, in laxing that round, was unable to affect the round as he was trying to come back and shut down in the process. Really, again, I'd say that mostly comes down to the breach. Now, the fact that the wall got in the closet and the main site got opened up so quickly was so effective in not only denying the, denial from the defense, but also just in picking off one after another anchor. Well done to SSG opening that wall. That's pretty much the majority of that story. There was no real attempt made by Oxygen to deny the wall getting opened up, but they need to have some kind of, and by they I mean Oxygen, they need to have some kind of counterplay. C4 from below, yokai drones to stop the plant, though those will be shot fairly quickly, I'm sure. Something, you know. There's options abound.
All right, well, I was hoping that we would see them go back to Trophy. They won't. They're going to go to Kitchen. And this is a site that plays out similarly. We talk about that every single time. Your buffer zone, as we refer to it as, is above. And Oxygen seem quite committed to not just defending that, but also setting up for the long haul. They can fall off if required. They're going to hold on to Astro, and they've got a line of sight down below. I wonder who's going to be tasked with holding above, because at the moment, 4 members of Oxygen are on that second floor. And not just on the second floor, but also around the statuary to Astro's side. So they're going to give that ground to Space Station in terms of master control. They're going to allow them to waltz on in. Vertical is now playing over by study with Foxay. There's nobody on the bomb site. Is that correct right now?
Yeah.
Slash has made his way down there. So Slash just got into the bomb site. That's it.
They're just trying to do some off-site presence. I wonder if SSG will read this and just say, okay, well, let's hit the site. I mean, if they did, it'd be really easy. I doubt they will, though. I mean, I'm guessing that they'll be distracted, if anything.
Oh, no, I feel that. I was just saying, at that point, as Slash was heading towards the bomb site, there was nobody down there. So Oxygen, are they going to be supporting one another? It looked like Vertical was close enough to be within arm's reach of Foxay, but you have to ensure that you can get back there quickly enough. And Jaeger is no longer a 3-speed, still a 2-speed. It's not going to make a huge difference, but he's not going to be able to help Foxay as much as he wants, as he's being Jackal tracked and heads for the hills. Opening pick goes to Foxay. They baited Rampy in with that Jackal track, and that's OXG with the big brain plays. They'll get the lead-off pick, and once again, the Sledge will not be able to do anything in this round.
Well, the Commando working out really well for Foxay. He has just been on a tear with Mozzie so far through this map. The clear will subside. It looks like SSG wants to execute site now. Fultz is pressuring Memorial. He's got drones to drone him in. I think they've picked up on how light a presence there is in site, but that's about to change as Biologic and Vertical start rotating back to the site. Vertical will actually take a right there and go into living room, but Memorial control is still in favor of Fultz. He gets a good pre-fire, but not long enough on the spray, and Slash will shut him down. Memorial control reestablished for the defense. That's big. If Fultz had been able to do more work there, this easily could have swayed in an SSG favor.
Immediately, I would assume Bio goes on to cams, and there's one over top of Laxing, or that they need to, or Vertical rather, that they need to keep a hold of. As Foxay might get spotted by Bosco, but he looks to win the fight. Just out-dueling him, the Commando is better than the C7E in this instance. Ditto goes for Laxing and Canadian. Thinking Nade in a 1v4. And OXG have a stranglehold on this round, and almost impossible if they lose this. Pad the stats as Thinking Nade finds his very first kill of Villa. He'll take out Fox A, but he's largely a non-factor. OXG looking much more comfortable on these even-numbered rounds, and they are playing the clock well. They are working off each other well. They hold that map control on defense, and they'll emerge unless a miracle happens. 3-3, switch sides, we'll hit the reset button. Both of these teams, they don't gain a single inch in that first half, but that's at the books. That's the first defensive half for OXG in the books.
3-3 is solid for SSG in my opinion. I will say that Villa as a map is not actually, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I want to say it's actually strangely attacker-sided. Let me take a second to check that. No, in recent times it has changed a little bit, but it really doesn't favor either side. In the US division, it's been played 4 times and has a 52% defensive win rate, which is about as vanilla as it comes. The most defensive-sided map is Oregon with 65%. It's also the most played map in the region. And Villa is less defender-sided than Coastline. So keep that in mind. This is a 3-3 map. So there's nothing upsetting about this scoreline for either team, really. I'm sure, yeah, again, if you're using conventional wisdom or your past experience, you'd say that this is probably favoring SSG right now as they turn on to the defensive half. But honestly, I can't say that it does, especially based on the bans that we've seen so far. The aggression we're seeing from the defense is partially allowed thanks to the Nomad ban, and the Habana ban with Ace not being in play obviously plays a large role in how hard destruction plays out in this round. Or not in this round, rather, in this map.
All right.
All right.
One thing that is immediately apparent is that Oxygen is far more comfortable running Capitao, and, well, if there's no Wamai in play, as there wasn't on Coastline, then he's a very strong operator. He's still good if there's a Wamai. Obviously, you just have to play around it. In this case, for SSG, they have the operator being played by Bosco. Also, OXG loves their good guns. They like a lot of firepower. And they've got them on every operator right now. The Soul Hard Breacher is not going to be a Thermite, it's going to be a Maverick, so you're going to require that soft destruction to really get put to good use. But there is noticeably a Zofia, a Buck, and a Sledge absent from this lineup of Oxygen. That is, I don't want to say confusing, but I mean, if you're going to use the Maverick to try and open things up, then most of the time, you're going to need one of those ops. Also, this is something that's fascinating. Look at the floor of the triple panel. It is completely open. So that's going to allow somebody from SSG to drop and play underneath it if need be.
Yeah, and it's not easy to make, or it's not hard, rather, to make that rotation. You just drop from the skylight right into the red hallway, as you can see, and then you're below the wall. Just rotate over into storage and done deal. SSG clearly do not want to let the Maverick or the Thermite open the wall, and this is why they banned Habana, to make it nice and easy to deny, and not only to deny the wall getting opened, but also to kill any hard breacher who attempts to open it.
There's going to be the first magnet getting hit off. It sounds like they actually might have activated 2 right there as Vertical hops into the bathroom and then is very quickly out as well. SSG are not paying too much attention to astronomy at the moment as Rampy was down below supported by Canadian, and it works out for the opening pick onto Laxing. There go your smoke grenades, and there goes the annoying pings of the Jackal. It also removes Laxing, just a great competitor, so that's a win in the books for SSG.
Solid one at that. Not quite done yet, but you get rid of Laxing, who is so effective on Coastline with that C7E, and that's a really potent gun that will fall silent. Vertical will clear out below, assisting the Vertical game of sorts, as he allows Foxay to Maverick trick the wall. Thinking Nade trying to challenge. It's very dangerous of Thinking Nade to attempt that. Down goes Slash, who had been attempting to push into Astral, I want to say, until I believe I was on Repel and got finished off by the shield play here from Bosco, who will get a second kill as Biologic just haphazardly peeks the shield. Vertical does get an Ash Charge below where the shield was. I believe it might still be there. Did at least a little bit of damage to Bosco, but the push is not going to be easy for Vertical. Foxay on full HP, and he's got a good position inside a Master, but he hasn't been able to swing any picks just yet. you can see that SSG are just waiting this out. They know they don't need to take any unnecessary risks. Bosco holding a very cheeky angle there, prone by the scope, and he'll take down one, leaving just Foxay, who has no real chance. So he'll just wait it out, pad the stats a little bit, and move on with his life. SSG take the first defensive round of the second half.
And they looked very confident while doing so. I don't know how much drones were used on that first floor of Villa, but it certainly didn't seem like they had all the intel from Oxygen that they needed. And it allowed SSG to play off of that, the Mozzie and the Jaeger both being below, working in tandem. The rest of OXG were obviously focused on Master and towards Closet and Bathroom. And then they had the Ash of Vertical decide to split push down below. I also have to wonder how much that their operator lineup hindered them. Obviously, bringing a Maverick is fine, but if you have the entire floor shot out, Maverick might not want to spend a ton of time in that position because you can get very easily taken by somebody down below. I'm not sure, like I said, how much of this goes into the thought process behind OXG. It's possible that it was a very conscious decision. It's also possible that they hadn't encountered this style of defense and they didn't know what to do with it. Though I'm less sure of that because Oxygen doesn't strike me as a team, especially with Hopes and Redeemer, two very top tier coaches. They don't strike me as a team that get surprised and unable to pivot. Also, one thing that doesn't get talked about from OXG a lot is that they're pretty darn good at IGLing midway through a round. So they've got leadership on their team. They've got, former IGLs in Bio and Slash. They've got current IGLing in Foxay. They very much are capable of fixing things if they go awry, like that round did. It's a trophy statuary victory for Space Station, and Aviator is up next. Amira, who has not been banned in either of these matches, will be once again brought out just as SSG brought her out on Coastline.
This is some weird stuff here from SSG. That's going to be really fun to see how that works out. You can see they're drawing a line in the sand, north to south, sorry. And it's just pointing towards studying B. Kind of like it. Nobody plays Twitch anymore, so you're gonna have to get that from below or just by entering on the west hallway. One thing that I find interesting here is that there's no control by 90 right now for SSG. I would expect that to be a priority for them. But they're not putting a lot of presence or focus into 90. They do have top main, which will at least slow down the push from 90. But also that means top main is cut off from retreating back into the site. So dangers abound there for SSG. Overall, I like this setup, though. It is new. Oxygen will definitely struggle with it. So I'm obviously, as you guys know, if this strategy works out, then it was a Lycan strategy. And if it doesn't work out, then it was soft strategy. Just so we're all on the same page.
Villa's been a much slower match, I would say, than we saw on Coastline, which just really plays itself to the checklist that we talk about on very defender-heavy maps. When you look at a map like Cafe, when you look at Clubhouse, etc., these are going to play out in a way where there's a lot that you have to take care of. A frag grenade, by the way, just got used from Foxay 2, in fact, and they were completely ineffective. It looked like they did a tiny bit of damage to Rampy, but that was about it. He's going to persist inside of Aviator, or inside of Study, watching Aviator, and because of this position, it's forced OXG to now have to attack from over towards Master. This is what I would imagine, given the setup. This is exactly what Space Station wants out of the execute.
A little bit of damage done there to Rampy, likely from another nade from Foxay, but he persists. Those magnets working really well so far for SSG. You can hear them effective other places. Slash will get Rampy, though, who was playing inside of Study. So that's one big component of this defense eliminated. There's still plenty to deny plants and such. There should be Evil Eyes inside of B to that effect, as well as the gas canisters from Bosco. Down goes Fultz, though, at top main, so the off-site presence is seriously hindered here for SSG. Bosco runs out of smokes, so he's not going to be able to deny the plant that Biologic is doing right now. Slash has got the cover, and there it is. Canadian will get their kill onto the planter, but it's a little bit too late. In a 3v3, low HP on the defenders, this is seeming unwinnable for the defense in the retake. Laxing will shut down Canadian by top main. Vertical thinking nade as he attempts to push the plant. A nice kill there for Bosco. He can maybe find two more. Low HP on both Slash and Vertical, so everyone dies to a single bullet, but it's Splash's bullet to get Bosco. The Summer Edition really bringing the fresh breeze, and Oxygen will take another round.
Summer Splash.
Summer Splash. you see,
Now-
see how I did there with the breeze? 'Cause
you know,
oxygen.
I saw.
I did it.
Be careful, Michael. You can't make jokes. Somebody's going to call you cringy.
I'm already cringe, Parker. I've embraced it.
Haha, cringe. All right. The setup from SSG, as you said, was very interesting, was the word you described. Interesting.
Interesting indeed.
It was played in a way that they essentially wanted an execute to happen over towards 90 or through the aviator door on landing. Now, the problem with that was that there were plenty of smokes to cut off line of sight, and Oxygen kept Foxay in a position where he could essentially flank from a different angle, and that's when he was sitting on the balcony. With the exact setup that you saw, the only real place for hard destruction that you could have had Foxay go was over towards 90, which is where Vertical ended up playing for most of the round on Ash. And you're going to try to take out the vault wall. Well, you're very exposed at that position. If you cut through it, there's a C4 that can be waiting for you. There's the drone hole that they could possibly try to shoot you through. There's a lot that they can look at. So they say, we're not going to bother hard breaching. And they wisely put Foxay on the balcony because they know that they need somebody from Space Station to continuously hold down Study, because they've opened up that entire wall and they've got the line of sight into Vault. The moment that SSG loses that, their whole structure in and around Aviator gets sequestered into the bar component by the billiard table, maybe into Vault. So it was a very smart play by Oxygen. And honestly, goes back to the round before that. I said, OXG doesn't strike me as a team that's going to be easily caught off guard, and if they do, it looks like they can make changes and find their footing. And whether they were prepped for that or whether they called it on the fly, they countered it almost effortlessly.
You know, it's almost like Oxygen is making a bid for SSG's title of most adaptable, because I think we can all confidently say that SSG as a team, the thing that really, at least for me, maybe it's just me, the thing that strikes me most impressive about SSG is their adaptability. Is there a, like, they can always change based on what the enemy presents, and they're always excelling in that kind of environment. Yet SSG still brings an abundance of structure that is not hindering at all to their overall playstyle. So they've got all of the different little facets that you could hope for, whether it be being able to just win a gunfight, being able to adapt to a strategy, or having your own concrete strategies. They're a very well-rounded team. Oxygen are, as you mentioned, doing a lot of that same kind of impressive adaptation to their opponent's play. And that's definitely a big factor in this match so far. Rampy will take down Slash as he attempts to entry in through the master door. That's a big kill. That's your Thatcher of all operators eliminated. And I think he still had most of his EMPs, if not all of them. This shield is giving serious grief to the attack. It'll finally be dealt with, but Fultz will get away with his life. So no answer back to Slash's earlier death.
He's the running man. He's just totally gone. He's going to go for the long rotate as his teammates will be pounced upon. Laxing takes out Thinking Nade, and, well, Fultz is going to scoot on in towards the bomb site, as it's a kitchen defense, obviously. Foxay is very close to being able to pressure, and he's going to do that. He's going to creep up on Bosco. He sees the mute and takes advantage of it. Foxay has been so good just flying under the radar the last 2 rounds. There goes Laxing to Rampy, the Jaeger himself. He's able to just do his disappearing act and continue onwards. This will cause, with 30 seconds left, Oxygen to try and swing things around. Rampy gets found by Vertical, the Ash very triumphant in that engagement. Fultz is still on low HP from earlier before, so a lot of weight will now go onto the shoulders of Canadian. But he's removed. It's Fultz in a 1v3. This just went even worse for SSG, and they get finished off, put out of their misery. This is the first time a team has won rounds back-to-back on Villa, and it's OXG to finally break the streak in round 9.
Oh, it was a significant round there from Oxygen, and Foxay in particular. You said he was flying under the radar. Well, he certainly flew under SSG's radar, as they didn't expect anyone to just peek out of the laundry door. And honestly, yeah, critique to SSG for not having that laundry door locked up. That is somewhere that attackers will commonly push, even if the clear is coming from other places on the map at the same time. That partially is, once again, we're talking about adaptation or adaptability in general. and Oxygen's really shining through in that round. They detected that the top floor was going to be laborious and difficult, and that there was nothing to be done having extra people stacked up there. They rotated one over to Laundry. Obviously, the Maverick, because he can open up the wall should he need to. And Foxay doesn't even try. He reads that, hey, I've got a free entry straight into sight. I may as well go for it. Well, Foxay leverages that for, I want to say, 3 kills in that round. Big stuff from him. Oxygen in the lead, 1 away from that match point. We're very close to this going to a map number 3. Could be in the next, 7 minutes or so. But I doubt that SSG is going to let it go that easily.
10 seconds to go.
I don't know. Oxygen have been quite confident the last couple rounds. I mean, SSG looked formidable on round 7. They won that defense. OXG on rounds 8 and 9. I mean, those were no contests. These are not close rounds. Really, if you look back on Villa, these have not really been close contests. You know, the team that gets the opening pick, in Oxygen's case, they got a number of opening picks on defense. They're able to translate, 2 of those rounds. That's it. And it's been, you get an early pick, then you immediately lose everybody else. Or you get the early pick and it's traded off immediately. Like I said, these have just been, they've been very lopsided. Most of these rounds have been very lopsided. And I mean, I don't know if that's going to change now as it's almost do or die for SSG. Knowing the way that these teams battle, I wouldn't be surprised to see Oxygen win SSG's map pick. But with that said, we're about a minute in, just a little bit less than a minute in, and Oxygen are going to pressure that first floor. They're going to aim to try and translate that to trophy statuary. That's the bomb site. It's going to be above. So Oxygen looking over towards kitchen. We had seen that very close to that location was where Rampy and Canadian were playing yet again. Very similar, if not exactly the same spots as the last time Trophy Statuary was defended, the only successful defense for Space Station.
Vertical used one of his Ash charges on a mundane barricade of a door, and because of that, he'll have one less for vertical play. You can see he's positioning himself underneath Bosco. He wants to get rid of Bosco's shield because he recognizes how important that was to his opponents in the last round of this, or last defense of this site. Vertical will lose a lot of his HP, I think, to Bosco shooting from above? Or maybe Fultz? Somebody shot him from above, that's for sure. It wasn't Rampy, he was positioned by the staircase. So with that damage done to Vertical, he's much more wary of trying to push into the room. You have to vault from the other side, Bosco. It's like from the north looking south. It's really awkward. Rampy will take down Slash. That push from Astro Stairs works out great. Once again, your Thatcher gone early. He did get off some of his EMPs this time, though. Very aggressive play here from Bosco onto the bathroom. And as Rampy repositions, you could say the same of him quite easily. There is somebody at the bottom of Astro Stairs, but I'm not sure he's aware of the Jaeger. There's a good answer, though, from Biologic inside a bathroom to shut down Rampy.
How did he not hear the Ash played in that position? It must have been absolute chaos on the comms. Leaves 30 seconds left now as Bosco gets completely blinded. Vertical trying to take advantage of the, pardon the pun, vertical play. If he can draw out the smoke, that'll be another pick. That'll go in favor of Oxygen after they'd lost Slash earlier. Down goes Canadian, and coaxed into action is none other than Fultz. One for thinking nade, Bosco one on it as well. And Bosco will try to hold down Astro as the Capital will manage to feed a bunch of shots before getting shut down by Bosco, leaving just Foxay. But he takes out thinking nade. It's a 1v1 between him and Bosco will drop. 2 seconds left. You'll have to grab that diffuser. Foxay has it, but he knows he's not getting to the bomb site to plant it. SSG takes the round, and we are tied up yet again.
That's got to be a really frustrating round for Oxygen. They did their best to take control of Astro. You could see how it was a full team effort from the attack. We won Astro, and SSG stacked up on Astro, delayed on Astro, and ultimately, curiously, it's the Wamai of all operators to be the final defender left alive. The Wamai who was the primary Astro holder. Such a strange series of events there to result in SSG taking the round, but great drop there at the end. Foxay had his gun up. Maybe he would have been able to get that kill, but obviously with so little time left on the clock, the only thing he can really think of is rush. And ultimately, that's going to be the undoing of the attack almost every single time. So, well done to SSG. persisting in Astro the whole round, despite that being the sole focus of Oxygen. Or not the sole focus, but at least the primary one. Now, we are going back to Aviator games, but there's no mirror this time. So I'm guessing it'll be a much more conventional setup.
You look at the lineup that's coming out from OXG, and it's pretty similar to what they've been bringing this entire time. There's really no hole in that in regards to destructive capabilities. I like the Zofia swap up, as we noted before. I think Slash was playing IQ previously, which, don't get me wrong, IQ's a fine operator, but with the lineup that we've been seeing coming out, you don't really need her gadget that much. Explosives, I think, would go a lot farther. You talked about the defensive setup too. Well, things have changed quite a bit. Canadian loves playing that Clash. It means that he doesn't have to shoot necessarily. I mean, he can use the SMG if he wants to, but for the most part, he's just going to be doing calling and try to distract and let the rest of the team play off of him. Additionally, SSG's strategy of holding steady is now gone. This is a much more standard setup, as you pointed out, and a lot of it does come down to the fact that there's no Mira to really try and enable those lines of sight.
I like the Clash for the information instead of the Mira. It's much more mobile. So if you're getting attacked from somewhere you feel like you're vulnerable, you just put a Clash there. Easy solution. In this case, it'll be Canadian playing by 90. That's smart. Top main is a priority as well for SSG, so he doesn't have to worry about his flank from the hallway. And he can delay the 90 push quite a lot. Zofia is his enemy, though, and that's the worst operator to have going against the Clash, I'd say. Foxay goes down. He's attempting to drone behind the fireplace on the balcony, and he'll be eliminated while droning. Quite an easy kill there for Fultz.
And that's the hard breach. That is a tough spot to find yourself in. I mean, obviously, you don't necessarily need a hard breacher for this pull of an execute. There goes the smokes from Biologic. At least one of them has been used so far. And the point I was trying to make is that Foxay wasn't really required in terms of hard breach last time around. So it's not super detrimental that they don't have him. Though obviously they'll be hurting when it comes to those impacts or those frag grenades rather, and the impact that they could have. Understanding this, SSG have now decided to maneuver towards that doorway leading to landing and being a little wary of somebody over towards study, which is Slash. There's some pre-fires coming in from ramping. He's going to be playing an angle just by the top of the stairs. Underneath, waiting for the call to action is none other than Laxing, but he's going to have to get past Fultz first. If the Jaeger swings even to the right for but a second, oh, he doesn't see him because of the casing on his gun. The housing around the optic. That could have been a very easy pick for him onto Laxing. Here comes the execute now as a smoke goes in and a fire arrow to try and take down the Clash. Fultz on his push has taken out Slashug. Rampy finds Laxing. It's a 5v2 with only Vertical to cover Biologic, but the smoke's in a position will draw out Bio. Vertical has to get out of there as quickly as he can. Bio finishing off Canadian technically, as he'd possibly bled out or died to the fire. And there goes Vertical as Fultz gets the final kill. 2 in a row from Oxygen is answered by 2 in a row from Space Station. It comes at a perfect time as SSG sits on series point.
The most integral part of that round was the bid for control on study side top main for Oxygen. They tried to dislodge the 2 defenders that were anchored in those positions, and well, ultimately Oxygen failed. Because of that, SSG was able to not only deny the attack using their anchors, the push into the site, but more importantly, they had a crossfire with Study. If that had gone the other way around, if Oxygen had managed to take control of Study in top main, gotten those 2 picks on that side, then we more than likely would have seen a pinch from the west hallway and from the Study door of Aviator. So the lack of that crossfire for the attack made the defense rather easy. It made it rather linear. All they needed to do was use their utility, their abundant utility, their gas canisters and such to deny the plant, and just tear apart the attackers as they attempt to rush into the site. All the while, too, they've got the Clash calling out. Really well played there for SSG. Match point for them in this series as well. And yeah, as expected, SSG did not let it slide so easily, despite losing the lead earlier on.
So now they're going to gamble back on over in Kitchen. They've gone here one time. It did not work out for them. It was where we were giving a lot of credit to the way that OXG played off of it. So the setup is going to be primarily upstairs, as we tend to see from teams here. Nothing really looks that unusual from the places that SSG are going to be deciding to hold. It looks a little bit similar to what we actually saw at OXG, which is that they open up that soft wall leading into Trophy. They have Fultz playing inside a statuary. Somebody's playing inside a bathroom. You can drop the hatch if required and get back to the bomb site relatively quickly. The main points of entry for Oxygen will likely come in Master. I think that's a pretty safe bet to say. They'll try to take control of Master, puncture that triple reinforced wall leading into Statuary, and then go to work. Sledge is going to be paramount, and 14 kills for Fox A means that there's an even greater set of importance that comes with that role.
Roam clear is going to be so important too. I mean, right now you've got Rampy in a really precarious position. He's sitting and landing. If he gets droned out, he could get cut off and killed really easily, but oh no, he's not been droned out. And he'll fall out of the position because nobody's aware he's there. Nobody tries to cut him off. That's so unfortunate for Oxygen. Potentially a free kill, and it's lost. That's Rampy too.
I wonder if Vertical would have been able to do that, because Rampy looked for a second. He thought he was going to get peeked, and you don't want to necessarily gamble your life on that one. What it did, though, is it took about 20 seconds for them to get up to where Rampy was playing, as he's now inside a Trophy, playing with that deployable shield. And Oxygen are going to try to burn as much as they can, but all the way across, it's Rampy to take out Foxay, and that's a beautiful shot. He immediately repositions, knowing that he's going to get pressured. There's a C4 from Canadian! 2 huge kills! Rampy is downed, and he'll be finished off by Slash, but good lord, you go for a gamble and you find 2 of them for the price of 1. That is very worthwhile. A 4v2 for Space Station as they are on series point. They look to be able to ride this one out, as Laxing is quite keen on being able to pressure into the site, and Slash is still toiling upstairs. Diffuser also down, will need to be picked back up, and this is where things can get a little hairy.
What a brilliant C4 there from Canadian. He knew exactly where the pressure point was, exactly where the push would come from. And it's all but a formality at this point, as Fultz cleans up Slash. Laxing, a hero for his team, but certainly not a 1v4 in this scenario. SSG clean it up. And a 2-0 for Oxygen earlier in the season, answered directly back with SSG's own 2-0 in the rematch.
Space Station definitely gets the last laugh on that one, and you can tell that they're quite excited. First place heading into the major is Space Station's. That's where they wanted to be. And while there were maybe some doubts about their hunger or their drive or their prowess earlier in this season, I think it's pretty safe to say that they've been put to rest, as Oxygen appeared to be the best team in North America, but just like DZ, it's SSG coming out on top.
I don't know if you guys saw it, but Canadian got in right then at the end in the text chat, in all caps, still #1. I'm not sure if that popped up on stream, but obviously you were talking about drive and hunger, Parker, and Troy still got it, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. For Oxygen, you have to wonder how much of this was a case of expectations. You're going up against SSG. By no means right now with the top 4 teams in North America. Top 3 at best, maybe top 4. There's no shame in losing to them. You know, if you look at the global rankings, TSM, Dark Zero, and Space Station are all magnificent teams. They are all among the best in the world right now. Losing to any of them is not something to be that upset by. Oxygen have proved their worth. They were the first team to qualify for the NA Major. They're still going to be in it. But that's it. That's it for the very first matchup. We got a commercial break for you. We got some analysts to talk it through. And then there's another match after that. See you then.
Welcome back. I'm Jackie Jing, and I'm with Veli and Jesse and SSG taking down OXG, winning the rematch. All right, gentlemen, lots to talk about here. Bosco Goat, maybe is what I should say. He's been playing very, very well on both maps. He played exceptionally. Veli, what have you liked about his play? Because I know you were cheering him on a lot. You were like, dang, he's doing really well.
What I like about his play is the fact that that clutch right there I want to talk about. I don't know how that happened, but ultimately what I'm saying is Bosco has ice in his veins. He holds on to something and he always wins these fights and clutch moments, whatever he puts his mind to, right? But that particular clutch I called out, the 1v2, I'm mad, Jesse's mad, everybody's mad, okay? So let me just give a rundown, all right? It's a 1v2, Bosco against Bio and Vert. Vert just went on a tear that basically put Oxygen in a position where they can't lose. In that particular play, rather than Vert defusing the objective, Bio did it as Clash. So I'm like, okay, it should be Clash protecting Vert, but whatever, right? Bosco kills Vert. Bio has 2 seconds left while he's defusing. 2 seconds left. And Bosco's from top away. The shield is protecting Bio. And Bio gets up with Clash and challenges Bosco in a 1v1. I don't know what he planned to do. Was he going to pull out a shield in front of Bosco and hold him back from the objective? I don't know. But that, along with his amazing play coming out of Master Bedroom to protect the objective player behind that shield, Bosco got a 2K and won that round as well. It just seems like Bosco was always at the right place at the right time. And honestly, I mean, I don't know anybody that's better. He's a god.
Yeah, we actually have his stats up right now as well. He got 13 kills. And Jesse, I didn't mean to cut you off. Just, I know you were singing his praises as well, so.
I'm long-winded. I'm sorry, Jesse.
No.
I think there's something to be said about a player's mentality who can constantly pull it out in those clutch situations. Bosco, you can see him on his screen now. He's had the most 1vx's inside of this league so far. He's had the most clutches, and he gained 2 more today. Obviously, the 1v2 against the Clash Jaeger, and then the 1v1 where he just dropped Astro as well. I mean, Bosco has been an incredible player. He put in so many clutch rounds in this map and throughout the season as well. He's been very important to Space Station's success. So really, shout out to the mental game of Bosco to be able to constantly win in these really hard situations.
Aww, and not just Bosco Goat, SSG as a team played very well. Jesse, their Aviator Gains defense stood out to you in particular though, right?
Yeah, there's some really weird strategies being brought on Aviator games. They brought that bomb site twice. The first time was the Mira strategy, where they basically made that line in the sand, as Kickstar put it, with 2 mirror windows. They couldn't fight off those mirror windows because there was reinforcements on both sides, but they were still able to use them for information. And I thought it was a good hold, but it was a really good response from Oxygen to look at it, break it down, and then come up with a strategy to attack that, focusing on that Aviator bomb site and really shutting down those defenders was clutch. And then they brought it back a second time, and it was similar. There was still that very heavy focus on keeping your players in games room, but instead of a mirror, they brought a Clash. So that allowed for a little bit more flexibility in their intel. It allowed them to use a little bit more gunplay as well, because there wasn't all those reinforcements across that line. And I thought that worked a lot better. Obviously, they came out with the win the second time they defended on Aviator, and great adaptations coming in from Space Station.
One thing I do want to say, just to piggyback off of that strat, I believe it was the second time they did that, Jesse. It's the fact that Canadian, he knew that they had so much map control on the steady side of the map to where he was able to rotate all around in the steady and then get, either the final kill or the second to last kill to stop anybody from Oxygen coming in. That was pretty amazing. The fact that you can take steady as a mirror and turn the ties against Oxygen. That's something that we don't see often. So shout out to them.
Okay, real talk here. And we know it's Siege, you know what I mean? Players have ups and downs. They have good games, they have bad games, right? And without question, the first time we saw SSG and OXG play each other, Bio was a force. He was a force to be reckoned with. He came out fearless. And in this matchup, it just seemed different. It almost to me seemed like he was playing not to lose, just a little bit apprehensive. Veli, he did not have the best performance. What were you thinking?
I like the fact that you said he was playing not to lose, not playing to win. We saw that already in Kitchen when they were on Coastline, where he was running around with the diffuser. He could have either had a really big flank on Bosco, who was over near Kegs, or he could have at least got the plan and helped his team win, even though they already won around, whatever. They had to take a clutch. But anyways, the reason why Oxygen has been so successful is the fact that Bio has been one of the best anchors in the game when it comes to holding down that site, and it's helped him out tremendously on defense. Bio struggled. He struggled like hell on Coastline. He didn't do too bad last map, but he could have done better. Players had bad games. I expect him to bounce back. But I felt like I jinxed him. I said the resurgence of Bio, then, he crapped the bed, But he's going to come back better next time. I believe in him.
Yeah, I believe in him too. Just to talk about Oaktree a little bit more, Jesse, their defense had mixed success. I want you to talk to me about what differentiated their winning rounds from their losing rounds.
Sure. So in the first half, obviously, we saw things go very back and forth, Oxygen with their defenses. It seemed like the rounds they were losing, they were sort of just sitting around and waiting for Space Station to take the ground they wanted, and there wasn't a lot of initiative being taken. I felt like a lot of the defensive rounds that Oxygen were winning in that first half came off the back of players like Foxay getting aggressive, making those plays happen, and really just taking like a firm grasp of the round and running with it. So I think like that plays into Oxygen's playstyle. I think they need to allow their players to do that like a little bit more. Not that they like hold their players back from doing that. I think, they've been one of the best teams at doing that. But no, I feel like the rounds where they were losing on defense were particularly the rounds where they were playing a little bit passive. They were kind of just sitting and waiting for Space Station to make the moves. And that's really not where Oxygen shines.
Yeah, and the one thing that's really big is the fact that even Slash didn't have too hot of a time on defense, and that's Oxygen's bread and butter, right? You have Slash on smoke, you have Bio on site. They're able to hold it down, while the other three, they're able to roam and pick up kills. So that way, the fort is held down great, and you have Laxing and Foxay and Vert doing whatever they do. So maybe next time, like we said, everybody has a bad day.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they didn't have a bad day. SSG, we're about to talk to Canadian. Canadian, talk to me about how you're feeling, man. You were stage 1 champs. How does it feel?
Feels good. I'm not as excited as I think you would like me to be right now, but I mean, it feels good. We're happy and we're proud and everything, but I know we're a team that we value international and LAN tournaments a lot higher. We expect that we should be the best team in NA, and we kind of had a wake-up call earlier this season and kind of turn things around to get to that point. And I think we've obviously proven that we've gotten to that point now, that we were kind of woken up and that we are still the best in North America. But yeah, it was definitely kind of like a more of an expectation thing and kind of like a relief that like we got what we knew we should get. Like we didn't disappoint ourselves. But yeah, we're happy. Honestly, I think the other guys are a lot happier than me. Normally, I'm the one going crazy. For whatever reason today, I'm not full of energy today. But it is what it is. I'm still happy we won, but I'm just not my same self, I'd say.
Aw, maybe it'll hit you later, but I definitely congratulations, and I know that this was a big rematch. OXG beat y'all last time, and like you said, y'all had a wake-up call earlier in the season. How important was getting this win for your team?
It was really important. I know it was kind of a revenge match, right? We kind of joke, when OXG is doing well if you look at their Twitters. They tweet a lot more. So you can kind of tell, and we had to restore order. We had to remind everyone this is as I would say, like, this is my fucking region.
Oh no, Canadian. See, you are a little fired up. I knew the fire was in there. I do want to talk to you about the beginning of the season. And like you said, it was a little bit shaky at times. What big improvements have you all made that have really made you proud?
I think a lot of it is just like our approach to practice and just things in general. We've came in with a lot better of an attitude and like more motivation and fire and just eager to learn and improve. And no one's getting frustrated or disappointed with each other. Like, we're just good vibes in practice, and that's what's really important, because then we can come in every day, and even if things don't go well for us, like, we can still take it as a positive. We can still learn from it, and at the end of the day, no one goes to sleep thinking, oh, this guy's pissed off at me, So I think the biggest thing is just how we approach practice and our attitudes, and then we worked a lot on like some calm things and stuff like that. But the main part was just our approach to practice, I'd say.
Aw, and staying united. I love that answer. I did want to ask you about what you were thinking going into this matchup and if there were any things that you specifically targeted when it came to Oxygen, because y'all just seemed very dominant in control. They did give you a hard fight, but it just seemed like the confidence was there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when we lost to them before, it was kind of a wake-up call. I actually heard you guys talking about it as well. Bio played lights out the first time we played them. And you know what? I'm actually going to take credit for that. I think I kind of fired him up. And today, you know, I held my tongue. I didn't say anything. And the good old classic Bio came back and didn't do all that much.
Oh.
So, but yeah, that was part of it. And then also, I think just we kind of woke up. We played our game again. And I think we're confident in our game again. Once it was like that, like we've always had a good matchup against OXG and when they were firmly reciprocity. I will say this lineup's a bit different, but they still kind of have a somewhat similar style, and I think we've always matched up well against it. So it was just a matter of kind of getting back to our old selves. Like I said, I don't think the first match we played pretty well. We didn't play horrible. They have improved a lot, and I think that was a big part of it. But it kind of woke us up, and we changed things up. We had better prep. We played better maps for us, all that, and I don't know. We showed up today. We really just focused on ourselves, though.
Man.
There wasn't specific prep work, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, I cannot wait to see Twitter later after this interview, dropping F-bombs and calling out Bio here. Veli's laughing in the background. I can hear him giggling. But to wrap it all up here, final question. You put it in text chat, still number one. What do you have to say to all of the fans at home? They've stayed faithful, and you've proven to be number one. You're number one in the U.S. again.
Yeah, I mean, we appreciate all the support. I mean, it allows us to do what we do every day. It inspires us. I mean, the Invitational, it's still something I know all of us hold dear. The moment when we heard everyone in the crowd chanting our names, when we were getting destroyed on the main stage, and we were just hearing people chanting SSG the whole time, and people lighting up their phones and everything. It was truly surreal, and I don't think we're ever gonna lose that appreciation for our fans just because that moment really. It makes it so real to you, you know. So, yeah, we appreciate all our fans and all the support they give us, and I mean, just glad everyone remained faithful and that we brought it back.
Aww. Well, they are certainly celebrating. You should be celebrating. We will let you go, sir. Congrats on your victory. Thank you so much for talking with us.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye, Canadian. Okay, let's bring it back to the analyst. Veli, you're always giggling in the background. I can just hear you chuckling, and it just makes me laugh. But
Jackie,
gotta love a Canadian interview. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, you're snickering in the background. I apologize, but you gotta love a Canadian interview. And I 100% agree that he knew last time he fired up Bio, and I do think Bio played differently this time. He felt the pressure, you know, so it was interesting that he brought that up. But anything about the interview stand out to y'all? It was pretty fun. He dropped an F-bomb.
It's his
F-bomb.
beep region.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, Canadian with a vengeance. Ever since the whole EG thing happened and Canadian with the space station, it was a long process until that team really found their way and their identity. But damn, man, that team is so good. We just saw an amazing matchup. I just tweeted, you know, I'm really happy that Space Station won. I'm sad that Oxygen lost, but overall, I'm extremely happy that we had two great series between these two teams. They're superstars. But one thing I want to point out, Jackie, for stage 2, this is important. Because Space Station Gaming won, they solidified first place in NA. They are automatically going against the 8th place team in NA. So... United, good luck.
Yeah, good luck, United. And Jesse, I saw you nodding there. What did you think about the interview?
I mean, it was sweet, right? It's hard to dislike Canadian. I don't know how anybody could.
Yeah.
Obviously, on Space Station, he's got those legions of fans, and it's well deserved. So yeah, it's nice to see him fired up. I know he's got his whole family behind him as well, which is always awesome to see. So he's a really fun player to watch and interview for sure.
Yes, well, okay, that's a wrap of the first matchup. We got another matchup, y'all. Disrupt versus the Sonics. Veli, I low-key feel like you might be more excited about this one. I don't know. I feel like you love the Sonics' potential. Disrupt has come out of the gates and really shown to be a contender here. So I'm actually pretty excited to watch this one myself. So.
Should be.
Okay, well, with that, let's get this thing rolling. We will get to the Disrupt versus the Sonics matchup in just a little bit. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.